Got it. Okay, we're live there. I'm back at you.
Got it.
Hold on. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, how we doing? Today we have PharaohLuv. I'll be coming on screen with you momentarily. I just want to let you know about the action-based logic that she's going to be able to give us coming in as a Pisces. I have PharaohLuv and myself. I want to go ahead and take a moment with the sound bowl to tap us in and really just take a moment to allow the sound to carry us and ground in. So, PharaohLuv, nice to meet you here live. You've been on many different, what was that? Okay, hello. You've been on many different channels with us all. I see Fatima already in the chat saying, what's up, what's going on?
What's up, Fatima?
Hey. I got some back end, meta tag things to do. I'm going to be putting PharaohLuv's tags in the description, in the chat. So that'll be coming in briefly, momentarily. I want you to check the live chat. If you're fresh, you're in here, you should give a thumbs up. Today, we are talking Mercury Retrograde. I'm going to give a little forecast for all 12 of the zodiac signs on what houses will be impacted tremendously. I'm already loving the interaction, if you will. And what I can do for a moment is switch up our view so we both can be seen. But then when you start talking, I'm going to let it just kind of be on you. So what's up, Samir? How y'all doing? Mercury Retrograde is bringing up a couple dates before I really fully pass it off to Fatima. I'm so sorry. I'm looking at Fatima's name right here. To pass it off to PharaohLuv. What you want to know about this retrograde is it's bringing us back to a hard square with Aquarius, Saturn in Aquarius. This is governments, institutions, different societies that exist who impose rules, laws for some halts in your hopes and your dreams. Now, it's not necessarily fully against you, but with this type of energy, it can feel like that. When we go through a retrograde, understand that these are the times when your technology seems to want to delay and slow down. I can tell you right now that this retrograde will bring those obvious delays, especially in your thoughts and your ideas that you've already discovered when Mercury was in Taurus, what you valued, what kind of thoughts, what kind of ideas you've already valued, especially when it comes to the base of your family or even the base and the stability of the support of yourself. So, what is really interesting about that is really to give ourselves a moment to realize back in April 26th, I would like you to write this date down. I'm going to try to write this in the chat as well. April 26th is the climax of this year. It just passed, 26. And this is when Mercury was in Taurus, right prior to it being in Gemini. April 26th is bringing that square with Saturn in Aquarius. So what are the progressive plans that we need in order to build something from the bottom up, but to give ourselves a more futuristic approach and outlook to stabilizing that future for ourselves, which then brings it to Mercury in Gemini, where our thoughts and ideas are really required to be circulated so that we can ultimately start solving things really with a little bit more logic, a little more objective and rational mind, and a curious mind that is really engaged in things creative that helps when we take more local travel. So this is kind of like Mercury in Gemini by itself. We're going to talk about the retrograde. I would say take your calendar real quick as you hit the thumbs up button and write these dates down. April 26th, Mercury retrograde went into shadow. All right. This is really like where we plant the seeds of what that retrograde will look like. So we've already went forward. Today is May 9th, and May 10th is the start when retrograde and Mercury starts and really is kicking off and it begins. And with that said, I would say May 10th, the retrograde begins. June 3rd, we go back direct, okay, at the 26 degrees, aka Mercury being in Taurus. So this is when things will start to kind of really, really I would say, makes sense, but really things get clear on May 21st. So let me like put that out first, because this is the Cazimi, and this is when basically the sun and Mercury are conjunct. It won't be exact, but it's very, very close to that conjunction of the sun being in Taurus. And so this is when the Cazimi comes up. It's like, okay, look, wow, you know, you still got work to do. You still got things to register as for what did you go back and look over with the Mercury retrograde, what ideas and thoughts that you have, especially in the space of your siblings. Potentially, what were the things you were learning? Gemini is learning, third house, the young educational learning, where it ain't really all that deep, ninth house yet. But I would say check that out. And then when we get to June 3rd, we're really looking at it being direct. It's like, okay, look, boom, where things are getting a little bit clear until we go ahead. Because when things go direct, there's going to be some tension as well. I want to throw that out there. Then we go ahead 2 more days, June 5th. And this is when it gets really ugly, because Saturn is time. Saturn is karma, among other things. And Saturn will go retrograde on June 5th. Okay. So now we have Saturn retrograde, where it's banging that T-square at that 26 degrees that I talked about, Mercury and Taurus. This is everything to do with what your values are. There's everything to do with, as well, in exaltation, where you may be too hedonistic, where you may choose certain pleasures over your peace. And in what way might that have a square, or at least some tension with, hey, your taxes are due, okay? Saturn says pay up. You got to do the taxes. So I'm actually a prime example. For the first time in my life, I did my taxes, like for myself. I got my things all in order months ahead of time back in 2021, before 2022 came. But yet and ever, I just missed it. Like, I have all my paperwork ready. Like, literally, it was ready since like November last year. But I just missed it. And I was like, aren't taxes like due? And it's like May already. And I did not put my taxes in. So tomorrow, when Mercury goes retrograde, I'm literally have a tax appointment. Literally. Now, this is kind of what Mercury retrogrades come through, right? Like, look, these are some things that I've had the idea for the first time to put this stuff together. My expenses, my you know, what I made in my business, the whole nine. I put it together. Great. But I didn't file the freaking report. So this is like Mercury retrograde already. On day 1, I'm having to go back and review, okay, what needs to get done. And this has happened for everybody. So I'm going to give an astrology forecast for each person. I do thank you for that thumbs up. But then, yeah. Finally, I would say, which is actually on my father's birthday, who is a Gemini, everything that we're reviewing will finally be done. So this is essentially going on from April 26th. We already passed that. But we're going back, okay, with our thoughts and ideas and our self-worth to the 26th. And then it'll finally be done. Everything we're reviewing will leave out the shadow with Gemini and Mercury at 4 degrees, which is kind of where it's going to start tomorrow. And then that review will be done. We'll be clear. We'll be kind of out of that, like, delay. And I have to say that again. We are facing a tremendous amount of delays. Every retrograde is going to be somewhat of a delay. I think this one has a lot more, because the fact that Saturn will also retrograde. Given that Saturn is a really big planet, so it's also just retrograde at least 5 to 6 months out of the year, to 8 months out of the year, every year. So, you know, most of you can look at your chart, you'll see, yeah, actually, I was born in a retrograde, and I can pretty much guess that, because I mean, it's 6 to 8 months already. So I wanted to kind of really do that. But what all this is coming up, especially June 5th, you're going to go, responsibilities. This is all about time and your values, having to go ahead and rethink the bigger picture, having to check in with certain institutions and really address these delays. So like right now, I'm checking in with the IRS to address the delay that my taxes are definitely beyond the file dates. Point blank and period. I'm going to have to check in with that particular institution. So this is what we're looking at. The last date that I'll have you write out will be to look back 2021 and what was happening in May, what was happening in June. Okay, why? And I thank you all for those thumbs up. You guys rock. I really appreciate the hell out of you. Why am I looking at that date and that time specifically? Well, this is when the last retrograde in Gemini happened. So it will give you a little insight as to what this exact retrograde might look and feel like. Now, what I will say is, I'm a big fan of taking in your progress chart and what your rising sign says on the progress chart. So my birthday has already passed in April. So I was a different rising sign than I am this year at this same time frame. I'm a different rising sign. I was Pisces rising last year, and I'm a Gemini rising now. That would change the forecast. Yet and however, your natal chart rising sign never changes. So I'm still a Scorpio rising. So I still do go off this. And I kind of take it into account. That way I just give myself angles. So if I was to give you an example, last year I was in a relationship around this exact time, and I was helping my partner at the time to go ahead and just blossom their business, blossom as a Gemini. They were a Gemini, blossom this brand new start. And they were going through eclipses, which were also in Gemini, which is wild during that time, and Gem and Sag. With that also being said, the South and the North nodes were in Gemini and Sag as well. So last year was definitely more intense. I'm just going to say that out loud. This year is less intense because the South node and the North node is not in. South node was in Sag, North node was in Gemini. So because we've already passed that, these eclipses are not going over the nodes in the same way. It's going over the worlds in a different way, more in Scorpio and Taurus, which we've just faced, right? So those are more the areas specifically, but Mercury's not conjunct that, being that is in Gemini now, even though we'll go back in Taurus. So that's something to look for, but I don't think it'll be as intense. But I will say very clearly that you can expect a crap ton of delays for about a month and a half, from April 26th up until June 18th, when it finally leaves its shadow period. You're going to notice you have a lot of things that you're waiting on, and you have Venus in Aries right now. You have Jupiter going to be there tomorrow on the same day that Mercury goes retrograde in Gemini. So you're going to have this Aries energy that wants to push forward all the new parts. You can look at Aries in your chart specifically to understand what, but it wants to push. It wants to take these new fresh starts. It wants to explore like a curious little baby. Yet and however, it's being bound by these delays because Saturn will go retrograde, and that's Big Daddy right now in the sense of it had a really tense square with Taurus when Taurus is in Mercury, because we have to understand these report that I'm giving, we're starting Mercury retrograde in Gemini. But because it's only at 4 degrees, we're going to bounce backwards to the end degrees of Mercury in Taurus. And that is going back over the North and the South node currently. Taurus is in the North node. So it's helping to shape our forward directions, helping us to really assess what are the pleasures that are more hedonistic in nature, or even our selfish desires that are required for what we value, being mindful of what the addiction form and line of that may be. And we're being required to just take a better look at that and make sure that we are actually in line with where we're going, that it has something to do with making and bringing more peace, more harmony. And it's to really manage this Aries energy. Because if we didn't have these retrogrades while Aries is going on, if you're not a wind sign or a fire sign, you would likely not have the time to really deal with all of this. For water signs, for example, you don't have the time to process your emotions, which go really, really deep. That becomes a very big problem. So this is a good thing. If you're an earth sign, you're really not ready to be making all these quick, rapid changes, even though you got Uranus and Taurus that's shaking things up. So these delays right now, these retrogrades, I want you to take these frustrations with a grain of salt and just say, I know that by June 18th, it's done, 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 done. So from now till then, I'm going to go ahead and listen to this report and give myself the best opportunity to just see with foresight what's coming forward and realize that this is not something to stress about, and everything that's happening right now is for me. So with that said, I want to have you all, thank you guys for being in the chat. I thank you for the likes and thumbs up. We have PharaohLuv here. She's actually, it's such an honor. She's one of the women coming to the retreat down in Mexico, which is super dope. So give her some love for that, for taking that leap of faith to decide to invest in herself. And on top of that, she's a Pisces. So Pisces, we all know, don't be rocking with boundaries. Don't be rocking with institutions telling them you got to do this and that. So my question is today, as we pair together the Mercury retrograde, in what way, Pharaoh, has personal development and tactics that you can give us, practical tactics, in what way has your thoughts and your ideas right now, Mercury in Gemini, has it been allowing you to reflect on what has your stages of life, your stages of learning taught you to be able to better manage the Piscean type energy, where, you know, you actually have the freedom to still be boundless, but you've developed yourself personally enough so that you can start pushing your projects forward. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey and give us actually some tips that you use as I get ready to type your information in the chat?
All right, all right. Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for everyone who's in the chat. And thank you guys for all those thumbs up. Keep them coming, keep them coming. So a little bit about my journey. The first tip, I'm gonna give you a tip right off the bat, because Pisces is think about it, hold on to it, wait for it, and all that good stuff. No, I'm gonna give it to you right off the bat, and here it is. Keep it simple, silly, because ain't nobody stupid. There's no stupid questions, so it's not keep it simple, stupid. It's keep it simple, silly. And as a Pisces, I want to muddle over everything. I want to think about it. I want to see, okay, how can I put this together with that together and everything. But if you just keep it simple, it allows you to just pretty much see things for what they are and not be so caught up in that dream state, not be so caught up in la la land and what could be and what ifs and all those things. So for me, personal development, when it comes to setting boundaries as a Pisces, it can feel like a dream killer. It can feel like a dream killer to say, I need to put some boundaries on myself, or I need to have boundaries with others, because you want to just be free to flow with everybody, everything, in every place. But if you don't have a grasp on who you are, the knowing of you, then the connections you have with others, you're going to feel so lost, because all you're going to do is attach. Just going to attach and attach and attach. And so in my life, that's what I would do. I would just attach to others who I felt like had the qualities that maybe I wanted to possess or something like that. But bringing it down to the simplicity and not overthinking it and diving too deep into it, and just bring it to those simple questions. The art of questioning is the next one. Knowing what questions to ask. So how do you know what questions to ask if you're asking questions? Well, you first have to know what it is that you want. What it is that you desire. What is your dream? What is your goal? What is your task? And so when you get down to the nitty-gritty, that's where you can go deep with it. Go deep with knowing what it is you want. Go deep with knowing, okay, I have a dream to be a basketball player. So I'm just going to go practice for 2 days and now I'm going to be in the NBA. It's not quite how it works. Athletes in particular put in so much tedious effort and work. And as a Pisces, and the flowing, a water sign in general, you want everything to be easy and effortless. And you think that's just what it's supposed to be. No, life is not easy. And it sure ain't effortless. In this process, be it in retrograde or not, just with personal development on the surface of things, has allowed me to really see what happens behind the scenes. Putting myself out there, right? Having those boundaries, saying no, because I was a yes to everything and anything. But saying no, even when you want to say yes sometimes, and allowing yourself to figure out, okay, is this something that I want to do for me? And if it is something I want to do for me, how is it going to propel me in the direction that I want to go? Not just assisting others, not just helping somebody else, right? A lot of things, when I started my YouTube channel, one of the things I said I wanted to do it for my family so I can assist and help others. But until I started to focus on me, until I started to keep it real simple and bring it down to the basics, that's when I started to flourish. And I'm in that flourishing right now. My channel has always been about my journey, right? From being, the last one picked on the field, being the one who, just don't have it all together. Most Pisces, we get a bad rep for not knowing anything or not having it together or just being kind of whimsical. But we have real concrete, solid dreams as well. But we just got to figure out how to navigate through that so that we can utilize our knowing. It's easy. It's easy to talk about what you don't want because you've experienced these things that you didn't like. But how easy is it for you to say, okay, this is what I want? And that was the hard part for me. It's really designating what it was that I wanted, what it was that I liked. Who am I? I had a good friend of mine ask me, so who are you? And I literally, I don't like being put on the spot, right? Those boundaries, those expectations, I don't like it. And so I was like, what do you mean, who am I? I'm me. And if I tell you I'm me, like you can't like force me to add on all these adjectives and all these other things. I'm just me. But you gotta know a little bit more than that. You gotta go a little bit deeper in that as well. So those are the two main things that have assisted me when it comes to personal development. It's just really bringing it simple. And while Pernell is still handling that back end, even when it comes to retrograde, he just gave us a whole nice little rundown about retrograde. So let's bring it back to the basics, right? Because also we're all learning, right? We're all learning. But just because somebody else tells you something, if you can't apply that to your life, if it isn't confirmation and it isn't resonating with you, then you may need to revisit that thing, right? So with retrograde, for me, we just talked about things being delayed, things being in reverse. But retrograde doesn't quite equal reverse, right? It's more so when you looking at it from a different perspective, and Pernell mentioned this. It's things are slowing down. It doesn't mean that we're not still moving. It doesn't even mean that we're moving in the opposite direction. It simply means that things are slowing down, and it's allowing you to see it may be a skewed view now, depending on the angle, right? Depending on what house it may be in and what area of your life, is impacting. You want to look at all those things. And so it's really just give you the opportunity to look at something from a different perspective. So as a Pisces, where I would, Pisces as my sun sign, so it's how I see things and it's how people see me as well, right? And so I want to, take my time and give it some weeks for me to think about it and all this other stuff. No, when I was ready for this live, I had to get these notes out. I had to get it written down right then and there. So I wouldn't be here, flustered and frustrated about, okay, what am I going to say? Okay, how is this going to flow? No, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. So I got it right here. So I can revert back to that thing. So it's allowing me to kind of reverse that energy of taking my time to do everything and taking action when it's meant to take action. Right? I ain't got to know every single planet, every single celestial body, and all those things to know how to kind of use that reversal, right? Reverse that energy just a little bit, look at it from a different angle, and utilize it how it's going to best suit me at this time. And so, like, Mercury is communication, technology, right? So it's how you think, and then what you produce. So this is showing you what you produce based upon how you think in this moment, and it's slowing it down enough for you really to be able to pay attention to it, regardless of what your natural state of being is. So, yeah.
Absolutely. That was pretty amazing. I thank you for even some of the real life tips, some of the things that are like, this is what people are going through on the day to day. And she said, you don't have to know astrology. You don't have to know everything that's happening. We are human, right? We do know what happens on the day to day. And what we recognize from a lot of this Pisces energy that has been in the sky, we've learned very clearly that it depends on what your signs are already, right? Some of us would have had to learn how to allow ourselves to dream.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're already in that dreamer space, some of those people had to learn how to make sure you bring those dreams down to earth so you can materialize it. All of us are in this game together where we can help each other. So Mercury retrograde, I thank you for really giving like some of the real life stories, because I feel like a lot of people were in the chats were relating with that. And if you did relate with that in the chat, I want to have you just take a moment to just like share some love. So thank you, PharaohLuv, for coming out here. You already spoke on it. You just came out here and you decided to be brave. Point blank, period. You decided to be brave. And what's funny, as a part of the reward, quote unquote, in the moment reward, earlier today, I had a woman who did a Reiki session with me. And I was like, you know what? And I know she's at the beginning stages of her business. And I was like, let's go live. I said the same. I was like, look, I'm doing another one already a little later. And I know it was with you. And you doing it with you today was like, I'm going to offer the same thing to the next person. Now, she was like, boom, I'm not necessarily ready for it. Now, with this Venus in Aries and Jupiter in Aries, I need everybody to understand that nobody's ready right now.
Yeah.
myself included. Myself included. Honestly, like there's like pressure in my head about all the things that need, quote unquote, to get done. Right? There's like, I'm like, man, this is a lot of crap. Like I got a lot of crap to the point where it almost can become a little paralyzing. And this is what we have to be mindful, because PharaohLuv said it with Mercury retrograde. Things aren't at a halt. Moving slower doesn't mean not moving at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the big difference, because with the Aries, Venus and Aries, we're starting to value that quick movement. We're valuing that quick start that doesn't necessarily think about the next step. And we have to remember Venus on this negative side can be addiction. So we have to be very careful getting addicted to instant gratification, or another lower level of Aries, which is overproving yourself of what you do, by what you do. So it's like, oh, it wasn't enough. This feeling of inadequacy, of having to be the hero of the day or save the day, or, you know, go ahead and keep doing something. We got to be mindful of this energy and understand that this retrograde is helping us to better dissect the ideas that we've had, the thoughts that we've had about our self-worth, about who we are now, about our identity. Each one of these things, Aries, Taurus, up to Gemini, it's preparing us as an individual way until before we get into Leo season for real, where we really kick off having to act on all of these gifts, these powers with other people. It's about you getting real secure with yourself. So this retrograde is nothing to fear. It never has been something to fear. If you've been born in a retrograde, you are probably more natural to this backwards type or slow type energy, not really looking forward to instant forms of gratification. But if you weren't born in retrograde, and if you are anywhere close to 4 degrees of Gemini, this will impact you more. When we get closer to the later degrees of Taurus, with Mercury being in Taurus, if you have a rising sign or something like that that's closer to that 26 degrees or so, this will impact you more. So for me, example, I'm a Scorpio rising at 23 degrees. Okay, this is really close to that 26. This impact will be there. It will be evident. And I'm noticing, feeling it already. Foresight coming forward. I'm like, man, the stress in a sense has already arrived. Like I don't have the understanding right now of where is all this going to get itself worked out and situated with. And as I say this out loud, literally in the middle of that today for myself, and even the last couple of days, understand that there's a divine timing and plan for all of this. And at the end of the day, all we are really doing is witnessing the process. There's not really much you have to do beyond witness it. And I say that with a very big disclaimer of course, there's things to do. Okay, don't just stay still.
Please do something.
You know what I'm saying?
Get moving. Get moving. This the movement man right here. Get moving.
You gotta move. You gotta move. You know, this is a very contrasting type energy. It's like you gotta move in order to see the next step, but you also have to not expect what you foresee too soon. So this is the hard part, that what can happen up front is we can want to just say, I'm not going to move at all. Well, that's not going to put you where you really need to or want to be. And karma will make sure it moves that ass for you. What we got? Setting boundaries. Did you give out some of those? Did you want, to go ahead and give them?
I'm about to. I just wanted to
share
show
those things to focus on.
I felt like this was the right moment. So
11 people watching and 11 thumbs up when I saw you do that.
It's 11:33 on my side too. That's amazing. That's amazing. Let's go. What's 11:11 mean? It's for me 11. It's one. It's the individual and it's amplified by 4. So we are creating that foundation, that stability. So now we're putting into action as we're able to really pay attention to what it is and how it is we do something, because it's Taurus season. I have, right? And I have shows you what you have done and what you have been doing and how that is playing out and what you're producing, like I said before, from that. So what should you focus on? As Pernell is talking about all these things that got to get done, but you asked me to slow down, but you asked me to move. Like, what is it that you really want me to do? It's real contradicting, ain't it? Well, here's some things you can focus on. The art of letting go. Number one, just simple as that. The art of letting go, not being so fixated on the fact that there's a lot of things to do, even though you're asking me to slow down. Just let go a little bit, release. setting boundaries, right? So knowing, you know, what it is that you can do now, and not being so fixated on what it is you're not doing. Okay. Taking action where action is needed, and allowing yourself to let go where action is not needed at this time. And you see how it's all like connecting and coming together as we continue to go through the list. And then taking action, how either spontaneously versus calculated, right? So this energy of the retrograde is saying to slow down. So that's giving you a little calculated energy, right? But then that youngness of Taurus and coming out of Aries is that spontaneity still at the same time. And then releasing control. And this was the big one that really popped out as Pernell was talking. Releasing control or attachment to the outcome. So with all those things you got to do and this, that, and the third, it's already set up. And you are here to watch and be able to see your manifestations unfold right before your eyes. And I talk about this a lot on my channel. When you get to know yourself, when you have the plans in place, when you've taken that young Aries energy and taken action, and you're like, hey, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to try it. And now Taurus knows what works, what doesn't work. And I'm going to be a little bit stubborn. I'm going to focus on what I want to work and keep at that. Right. So you just want to make sure you're not too attached to those outcomes, because being so attached to the outcomes is setting yourself up for failure, because you don't know how it's going to pan out. You don't know exactly the way it's going to do it. You have your dreams, you have your goals, you have all of that, but you are partnering with the universe. You're partnering with others. And so it's not just your energy that's going to help this come to fruition. It's teamwork makes the dream work. Just let go, release a little bit.
That's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I actually was dropping those. Was it 5 or was it 6?
Mm-hmm.
5?
So about that 5 over here. Yep.
So I dropped all 5 in the chat, so y'all can check it out. I'll try to make sure that I get that in the pinned comment at the top so we can really remember that. I took a moment in this Mercury Retrograde episode to drop the angelic Reiki and the whole lunar eclipse event coming. This Saturday, I have 2 candles specific to kind of help us through this energy. And it's going to be a green and it's a blue. I never find blue candles. And I really see the heart chakra as 2 things. Scorpio, who probably holds the most on its heart. Okay, it just implodes that energy. It keeps it fixated and it can get real weird where that heart chakra gets real icky. So that's what this green is at, as well as Leo. Okay, I do feel like Leo is the heart, but as well as the Aries energy is exalted in the sun. Okay, so if Leo is the heart as the sun, Aries exalted in it. We have Aries in the sky. Okay, I see you.
I just got this a few days ago. And that teamwork makes the dream work. It's time to look at those partnerships. We can't win the game alone. We can't be Michael Jordan. We need some Scottie Pippens. We need. I can't name all of them. I can't name them. I'm gonna stop right there. But I'm just saying, everybody ain't Michael Jackson. I got asked a question the other day, not to just interrupt, but I got asked the question. It was like, in the Jackson 5, who would you be? You know, everybody want to say Michael, but I was like, nah, I'm Tito. Who the hell is Tito? What role did Tito play in the Jackson 5? I don't even know. But what I was highlighting in that and saying that is that we all are star players. We all are MVP players, but that doesn't mean you're going to necessarily be on the championship team. And if you can't play another role, like be a Tito, be a Scottie Pippen, be a Allen Iverson or whatever, they were all great in their own ways. We are all number one, but we ain't the only number ones.
You see it right there. Action-based logic. And y'all see the glow on PharaohLuv. Yeah, I don't know if y'all saw her skin glowing. Even in the picture, you see it right here. She's on the glow. I really love seeing the smile on you. Go ahead and give her some love in the chat. If you're brand new on this, definitely like the button. Go ahead and smash that thumbs up. I just had to go ahead and like show that glow, show that conviction you see in her eyes as she's giving you those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 action-based logic steps. Thank you so much. So let's get into it. definitely check out the event if you're brand new on here. The Angelic Reiki, I'm going to be calling on Archangel Michael to really help us to close some celestial doors. I'm using the word celestial doors on purpose because the things that are happening, like I said, when this Mercury retrograde goes back into Taurus and it's going to have a very hard square with Saturn, okay? This is where Saturn and Aquarius, we're talking celestial. These institutions that are challenging in a sense, our sense of freedom and our sense of progression as a unique individual. This is very, very serious, okay? This is something where you don't really have all the tools alone. And I'm not saying that I have all the tools, but what I am saying is I'm one of the people in this entire spectrum that has some of the tools, and that will ultimately link you in a group format where you might connect with somebody in that group where they got the next set of tools completely separate of me. And this is how 11th house, this is how Aquarius works when it comes to humanity. It's all of us. We all have our role. Like, Shireen, I see your name and I was thinking about you today. I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to get her on here. And it's like, I got a list of people kind of on backup. And this is kind of what I was talking about, that Saturn Aquarius have to go back over the plan in this Mercury retrograde. It's like, okay, how am I going to organize this? And who am I going to be able to prioritize for who's coming live on the channel next? What needs to happen here, here, and there? One of the things I'm going to say, because I see Fatima was in here, is like, okay, I think I just figured it out. Shireen, this would be the spontaneous. What number was spontaneous? 4?
Yep.
Number 4. So yeah, this would be the spontaneous, right? The spontaneous in me goes, oh, I'm supposed to have, and I really want to have Shireen to display her talents and her abilities. And I wanted to go ahead and have a live where we go up and do that. And then it just hit me where it's like, I know for a fact that this event that I always like to bring on a different and a separate artist. So then I was like, the impulsive in me was like, oh, I could do this with Shireen. Shireen could come on at the event and go ahead and display her magic. Okay, that would be the spontaneous as an example. And what was the other half? The calculated?
Yep, calculated. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so honestly, like, I'm saying this spontaneously in the moment live, right? Where then the calculated version of that is, well, I got a long list of people, and Shireen is one of the names that keep popping up at the top. Now, there's still a couple other people at that top of the list that I know are coming, but she's one of the ones that keep saying, P, make sure you get her in, P, make sure you schedule this, P, carve out the time. So that could be an example of something, allowing something spontaneous to be born. But then instead of saying, I'm going to go ahead and commit to this in the moment, I take this pen, I take this pad, and I write that down. I go, hey, look, Eclipse event. I'm going to write. It's funny because I literally just landed. I'm going to write your name in my agenda right now. Literally, it's funny because I just landed right here. It's like Eclipse event. And I just went ahead and typed that name up at the top. So who knows? But this is a part of the calculation where when I'm off the live and I'm not under necessary, let's say, social pressure to be like, yeah, and then I got to keep that promise. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to write that down. I'm going to take the time to calculate that. This is what the prime example of a retrograde is doing. It's allowing us to slow down that Aries energy in the sky. Jupiter tomorrow, when the retrograde starts, will go off and pop it as well. I want to really push for all fiery starts, all impulsive and like instinctual beginnings. But that can get us really caught if we don't take the moment to really let this retrograde help us calculate a little bit of that plan with some objective logic.
Mm-hmm. Can I interject right here real quick?
Absolutely. As they press that thumbs up, I'm letting PharaohLuv interject. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up.
So I wanna just give another real world example, and this is gonna be a personal one. It's about me and you. Not too personal though. But no, so as you talk about the spontaneous versus the calculated, I recall that one of the first few lives, because I had attended a couple of different events that you were a part of, and other channels and things like that. And one of the first times I came on, this exact situation happened where you like PharaohLuv, if you want to go live, let me know. And so when that happened for me, and you said it live, like I was expecting it to happen right away, right? But everything happens in the divine timing that is meant to happen. And here we are in retrograde. And I believe that was an Aries season when that happened. So spontaneity was the way to go, right? To put it out there, because that's also what I needed so that I could get, mentally prepared as well. And then now here we are on the other side of that looking at that calculated version where we're in the exact same kind of scenario situation. And then you're able to, what do we talk about? Look at it from a different perspective, right? So I just wanted to share how you literally see that real time, that real world shift as we are literally going into the retrograde tomorrow. And we're already in the energy. Energy is all around us. So
it's already in it's a shadow. It's been in shadow for a grip. It's been in shadow for a grip.
And now we're really starting to, you know, see how making those subtle, as you always say, micro shifts, paying attention to the micro shifts. And you literally caught it right in that moment. And he was like, hey, how should I, and what, and you're Aries, right? Your sun sign's Aries? 3. So you really like, let pow, 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 pow. We going no matter what. And you literally took that time right now to say, you know what? I know what I'm used to. I know what I want to do. But let's just take a second to embrace this retrograde. I love it. Love it.
Absolutely. Thank you for the 16 watching. Say it again.
That's where that personal development comes in.
Right.
Actually utilizing those things, not just having the information, you know, and because once you have information, it's just information. Then when you know how to utilize that information, it's knowledge. And then when you actually put it to practice, it's wisdom. So we got a wise man sitting here with us right now today.
Time out. If you can recite that, then the wisdom is passed all the way back to you. Can you say what you just said again? Because that was a nugget.
We're gonna get it back.
Do you know what you said, or was it off the cuff?
It was pre-channeled, so I know exactly what I said.
Okay, hit us with that again. Y'all gotta listen up to this. Y'all didn't really hear what she said. Let her say it again.
Information. We're literally talking about Mercury retrograde communication technology. We're in a communication technology age. We're here, you watching us on this screen, right? So we're giving you some information, whether it be about personal development, astrology, or thereof. So you have information, and information is just information. But when you know how to utilize that information, you know the use of that information, that becomes knowledge. And then once you put to practice action, Aries sitting on the other side of the screen, that becomes wisdom. So information is just energy, is just there. It's already done what it's meant to do. Its purpose is to be information. Learn how to utilize that information. You got some knowledge on your hands. Put into action that knowledge which you have, and now you got wisdom on your hands. So you go from being a canvas, information, to being the student, knowledge, teacher, wisdom.
Wow. Game changer. I'm dropping right now, and I'm going to pin it at the top of the chat live. This is Book of SoulChat with PharaohLuv. So I want to say off the rip, if you already enjoy and love her energy that she's bringing through the airways right now, you kind of got a glimpse of what might that be when she's not talking to a group, but just to you one-on-one. So I went ahead and put that there, and I pinned it at the top. So if you want to book a session with her right now, PharaohLuv, can you just let us know a little bit? What might that look like if somebody was to go ahead and just take some time with you one-on-one? What can they expect?
So what that looks like and what I'm offering right now, and you are really in for a treat, because with retrograde, we got this little, let's calculate it. Let's really think about how we want, and that's my home energy, is to be calculated. And so what you can expect with a soul chat is we're going to be exploring through the fear. That's been my journey through life. And we teach from our experiences. Now, my experience may not be your experience, but what I'm here to do when it comes to this chat is I'm here to listen with intent to provide possible solutions and resolutions. So this is a dialogue. I ask questions that allow you to dive deep within yourself to honor your truth, because we all have our truth. So we're here to honor yours. And we do that through what I mentioned before, the art of questioning. So what do we talk about? We talk about the here and now. We're bringing it right here to the present. Now we're going to look at the past, see how that has impacted us, or impacted you, those who will be booking the soul chat. And then we're gonna prepare for the future. You see, I'm prepared here. Got these notes. And so with that, my sun is Pisces, so it makes me a dreamer of sorts, right? My moon is in Gemini, which is the thinker. And my rising is in Libra, and so I'm a justifier. And so with all those put together, I have a fixed, open mind, willing to adapt. And again, I am here to listen with intent to provide possible solutions and resolution. Remember, this is a dialogue. So it's not just me talking. That's why it's not a reading, right? I could easily have put reading because I use multiple different things. But Pernell actually helped me to kind of narrow that thing down, bring that, keep it simple energy in, right? And to really hone in on what it is I'm providing. And so the last thing I'll leave you with is, what do you need? What you saw at the beginning of this video, if you were here for the beginning. If you haven't, go ahead and rewind to the beginning. If not, wait to the end of this and then go back to the beginning. Both Pernell and myself had notebooks out. So when you could come to this call, make sure you have a pen and a pad and you're ready to jot some things down. Now, for the last part of that, I got something very special for y'all. And I really toyed with, what should I do? And I'm in the beginning stages of my business, right? My spiritual business, right? And my personal development, spiritual-based business. And so with that, I'm building these foundations. So for the next 2 weeks, if you book a 15-minute session, and I'm only available limited time if you click on it and see. The next 2 weeks, you'll get that 15-minute introductory session where I'm pretty much going to go through this right here with you and just really get a feel for how I interact on a one-on-one basis. And we can go a little depth. It's kind of like 21 question style for that 15-minute one. And it's free. All you got to do is book. All you got to do is book. I also have the 30-minute one if you already know you want to go in depth. And that one's going to be pretty much half off right now. So that one is going to be running for $22.22. So if you're really about that life and you're ready to take action, go ahead and bid that 15-minute. And this is my gift to you, because you're gifting me by participating in this. And because I'm also a Pisces and I have that Gemini and that Libra, it's real spontaneous. So I don't know how long it's going to be free, but you better catch it now while it is, because price is going up. Price is going up, just like these gas prices, okay? So I went out, it was 10 cents higher, and I was like, what the hell is going on? Ain't it supposed to be some type of holiday? This is the foolery that they be on. But we're not going to go there. I'm going to leave it be. Make sure you book a session, book a soul chat with yours truly, PharaohLuv, aka KD. We'll see you there.
You know how I know she's not lying about prices going up? Because she's working with me and she's coming to the retreat. There's no way in the world.
Prices got to go up, honey.
Because I'm gonna be putting the pressure. I'm gonna be putting the pressure because
he already put the pressure. But I was like, you know what? I know myself and I know where my confidence is. Even though I'm very confident in these soul chats, but what I want to do is get in front of more people. So you got to give a little to get a little. So go and book that 15-minute. I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you.
Yeah.
You're gonna book a higher one before. And there's other things you can book, but it's hidden right now because we got to focus on that foundation. But come on in.
Right. And just mind you like this. What's up, Majin? How you doing? Majin was on us live with here one time doing an AstroTherapy session as well. Thank you for that. Thank you for your investment. And that said, mind you this. She came here with the knowledge. She came in here with the wisdom off the rip. Okay, off the rip. That has nothing to do with the fact that she's still a Pisces, right? Just by talking with her, you're going to heal such deep subconscious programming, so many irrational fears. This is 12th house. This is Pisces. It is able to put unconditional love back into your soul because what? All of your irrational fears are just going to wither away. So just by being in that space with her alone, I want to go ahead and say, definitely do it. I just dropped it one more time in the link and it's posted at the top. So thank you for that. A soul chat is where it's at. Anybody that does watch this on the replay, if you can just timestamp this, I'm going to give Aries down to Pisces your forecast and hopefully
5744. 5744.
I'll try that. but there's a little lag on lives. So that's the problem, because I wish that I could do that. I wish it was that simple, but it ain't. It ain't.
Gotcha.
So what I kind of start doing is I'm gonna just like tap in. We're gonna start off with Aries, okay? Just to review the dates before we get into Aries, I'm gonna review the dates for you. The retrograde began. I mean, not the back. It's bringing us back to April 26th. Okay, this is the point where it's gonna go all the way back to April 26th. It was at 26 degrees of Taurus, Mercury in Taurus, and that was like the height, the endings of here's the plan, here's the method to the madness that we're getting ready to develop. April 26th is the go back point. We're starting off at 4 degrees of Gemini, okay? And then eventually Mercury in Gemini will bring itself back. Here's your dates. Before anything, to get a glimpse of this, last year, 2021, you're looking at the end of May to June. And there was an eclipse in Gemini around that time. So whatever was happening in your life around last year, 2021, end of May to June, around that eclipse, it'll be a little less intense because you've already went through some very deep step outs of what this time frame was doing with the North Node, South Node was saying, stop this whole guru stuff. Stop. And you heard Pharaoh say it. That's why you're not booking a session with her. You're having a soul chat, and it's very different. She just explained that. So it's South Node was in Sag. Sag has this ego-based form of spirituality within it as well, which says like, I'm pretty much above all of you. You are my sons. And it takes this guru position where there's a hierarchy. It doesn't work. And that's what the North Node in Gemini was helping us all do. But around May to the early June, whatever's happening, this Mercury retrograde is likely to show you a relapse. By the time I get to my sign, I hope you understand what that was from a personal story. And then tomorrow, the retrograde actually begins. Great. From there, it's going to be about May 21st. So from tomorrow, which is the 10th, it's going to take us about 11 days before things get clear. You're going to have a lot of delays. This is the time frame where your technology will have a moment to slow down. Understand it's not slowing down to piss you off. It's slowing down because you're not going to slow yourself down. Spirit is coming in and saying, I'm going to make sure of it. Even if you're good at that, it's like, I'm going to just make sure that you do what we need you to do so you can review the dots, review the details, review how you have understood this is your worth now. As you've already stepped Aries new moon, Aries season into your new identity, your new character role, the more instinctual and primitive version of who you were before you were ever hurt. Because Aries and Chiron is saying, look, here are these wounds that we're going to cover to get you closer and better than the person who before you were hurt, before that person broke your heart, before someone stole your money, before someone crashed your car, whatever it was that hurt you at a level deep within your identity of how you see yourself as I am, blah, 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 is bringing us back to really review how well have we stepped into that character now. And then within that, how did we get grounded and solidified? Everything Taurus. And that season is still what we're in right now. When Mercury was there, so our mind finally caught up to what the intuition in our body says we're worth, aka our nervous system has gotten an upgrade. So you shouldn't be feeling so nervous in a sense where you can't determine when you're just excited. All right. But also, and I already know. And tell them a little. Let me finish this tangent so I can get through it to the signs for them. So your body is Taurus has now leveled up what its intuition looks like. So your 5 senses have upgraded. You can smell things you've never been able to smell. You can feel, touch, see, and taste things in ways you've never been able to taste and do this. But not only that, but your foundation has brought more stability, more comfort, and your mind finally caught up with the body, and you feel worthy. And because you feel worthy, you're allowing these ideas, like PharaohLuv said, she said some of the beginning stages of the ideas, which is why what is now, why you have a chance. Book that time with her, okay? And invest in yourself. And now here, the ideas are having the moment to expand and play. Gemini likes to play. So this retrograde is helping you just learn how to better play with your worth and use media to basically spread the knowledge Okay, not the wisdom yet, because that's Sag. Gemini will be the learning phases, the knowledge that you had to learn in order to really spread that wealth of information in the right places. But you got to figure out where those right places are first. So allow yourself to be the wind and let the wind take you there. That's what this retrograde is doing. And so the next date you want to watch out for is when it goes direct, June 3rd. June 3rd, it actually goes direct, which means we're kind of coming even more from the May 21st Kazemi, where we're coming more out of that and where things are starting to get clear. Now, June 3rd, you're like, okay, things are direct. You're going to almost feel like, okay, boom, here's this tension moment. Because once it goes direct, it's almost like a crash almost, which can like, oof, but you're good. You're going to survive until 2 more days. And then Saturn then goes retrograde. And this is why there's more delays. Because like I said, Saturn is time, Father time itself. Okay, it is where karma is dealt out. It's where Aquarius is very calculated. And it's like, look, here's what we need to do for this progressive ladder. And you're going to have to face certain institutions that are holding back, in a sense, your creativity, but they're not holding you back. They're challenging you to make sure that this is the right and most unique path for you. It's challenging you to make sure that the 11th house Aquarius, that the friends, the groups, the communities, the networks, the societies, the social circles are the right ones to be in. And it's making sure that you get on track. And then finally, that's when you're really going to have to be like, June 5th, when that retrograde, like responsibilities, time is going to play in. Your values are going to force you to really rethink bigger. It's going to look at the bigger picture, and it's going to have you check in with these institutions. I gave the example earlier where I didn't pay my taxes yet. Tomorrow when retrograde starts, I got to go do taxes. I'm late. A part of that brings a little nervousness, a little anxiety, like, oh my God, what are they going to do? They're going to just throw me a fat bill. I talked about the example, my Airbnb, I spilled candle wax on it that has not got resolved yet. And it's like, well, that's going to come back for me. These are prime examples where this retrograde is bringing that stuff back, because around that same time was when I had to bring in the report to the institution, in this instance, Airbnb, and they're going to have to go ahead and I'm going to have to face the consequences and be responsible for whatever that outcome is. These are just little examples. So this is why all these delays are happening, to make sure that before you really launch pad forward in Gemini season, where everything is just loose and we're not so much in that stuck energy, that our ideas are actually grounded in something sustainable. Thank you all for those thumbs up. Pharaoh, did you want to say anything before I give these reports?
Oh, I was going to
wait.
comment on
my bad, last one. Because after that, you finally finish June 18th. June 18th is when we come out of shadow. I forgot to say that last part. This is when all the things that we reviewed are finally done. This is Gemini season. I kind of made that last mention. It's also my father's birthday. And PharaohLuv, what's June 18th?
Juneteenth?
No, that's Juneteenth. Oh. That is that, but that's the first day of the retreat.
Oh, whew. See that time. Look, so on the 5th, that's when it's gonna hit me. Time, because the treat coming up. Okay, so yes, sir. Let me put a little star next to that day.
Let's start that one out. All right,
we going direct. We live and live in color.
We going direct.
Direct flight to the retreat.
Direct flight. Talk about it. Literally, that's the fly-in dates. You fly in on Juneteenth, no?
17th actually for me.
So one day before the retreat. And by the way, for those listening, I did book the location for the retreat one day early. So you'll be able to fly in and have that place right away. Even though it starts the next day, I already bought it for the day before. So we're good there too. Just want to shoot that out for anybody. And that's when we're back at Gemini, 4 degrees, everything's cleared up, the shadow leaves, and we're out of there. Okay, now do you want to say something? As I ask people to say thumbs up, here we go.
Make sure y'all letting us know how this is impacting your life right now as well. Engagement is key over here, y'all. So I was just gonna chime in on the nervous versus excited. So as we were getting ready to start up, that's the energy I was feeling. And literally, as I'm a personal development advocate, right? And a spiritual advocate and all those things, honing in on what I have, what I'm able to offer and give. I got on the call, and really, so what happened was I got on the call an hour early. So I've been in this space for a little bit, y'all. I've been in this space for a little bit. And what that really showed me in that moment was that I need to really begin to like set up my space so that I'm able to be the ready and willing vessel that I already am for when y'all start booking these soul chats. And so I got to set my space up for you. I got to do the things that I need to do to prepare for that. And in that preparation, I was kind of clinging on to the nervousness, which is what I felt before, right? Working through that fear. As I mentioned, that's what we do with the soul chats, is we working through the fear, exploring through the fear. And so I was like, you know what, let me just take this time to just relax. And I had been doing stuff all morning, preparing and stuff. And so I finally was just like, okay, well, let me just sit here and just allow myself to just calm down, come into a place of center and relax, do that breath work. I literally did a little bit of meditation. It doesn't take all day. I know you see the monks and they be in the woods with their head shaved and they just be there for years and years and years and they're like, where they go? No, sometimes it just takes but a moment. If it's 30 seconds for you, it's 30 seconds. We live in this society where it's go, go, go. And your attention span, I'm happy y'all still here, because attention span is something that is lost within these newer generations specifically, but everybody that is TikTok, it's reels, it's shorts. Nobody want to sit through and actually really take that information, learn how to utilize it so it becomes that knowledge, and then put it into practice so that you are wise and you can actually call yourself that guru, right? Because you've gone through the steps to actually be able to really honor that space. And the one way I heard the perspective of a guru is, G, you are you. So is you. Yeah, you the guru, but have you actually gone through the steps to really claim that spot? Be that Michael Jordan. Be that Michael Jackson. Are you still rocking like Tito? And hey, he was still on the Jackson 5. He was still in the squad. So I ain't mad to be in the squad, but we all have our highlighted positions as well. So we came on. The first thing Pernell said to me was, you look excited. And I was like, man, I'm really nervous. And he was like, but that personal development, right? That's what you were about, right? So I literally flipped that and switched that. And that's what I do. So I'm not just the quote unquote teacher. I'm the canvas where I'm still receiving information. I'm not afraid to say that I'm hanging out with the greats, like this young man right here, right? And then I'm actually utilizing, I'm learning how to use the information that I'm receiving, and not just straight out the horse's mouth. I'm gonna take it just how Pernell says, no, I'm gonna apply that to my life. I'm gonna see what resonates, and I'm gonna see what doesn't. I'm gonna learn how to drop the mic, release that which does not serve me, and cling to that which I know works for me. So yeah, that's what I just wanted to share, is having that distinction between, is it nervousness or is it excitement? And they vibrating along the same lines, but it's all about your perspective. And retrograde gonna help you clean that muddy water up.
My Jen was like, this mofo spitting. I love this community. Thank you, my guy. Thank you, my guy. Also, Kaisha was saying very true, showing you love. Missy, Fatima, Shireen, thank y'all for showing the love. Really do love the community as well. This is my Saturn in Aquarius. So literally, like, I'm really happy, that I'm on this call right now with PharaohLuv. I won't lie to you, like, my last couple of days, I'm like, ooh, especially being home with family, I'm like, I'm dealing with things that I don't even be dealing with, quite frankly. Like, I'm like, I don't live here. This is just like way too much. Like, it's like, so this is a part of that. But second house, okay, if you think Taurus, having those squares with Saturn and Aquarius. So this is my Saturn Aquarius third house, right? It's like using technology to help communicate and have other people communicate their thoughts and their ideas, literally. But those squares to family is like, my family had just visited me down in Mexico prior, and they're like, this is second house foundation of family, but it's showing me what I need to create, what I want as this Mercury record will come for my family base that I begin to build as an adult, outside and separate from the family, progressing from the base of the family, progressing Aquarius, Saturn Aquarius, it's like build and construct this, and that. Do it by connecting people like right now, PharaohLuv or Fatima who came live, or Shireen who we're talking about, Majid who's on here. Each and every, that's like 4 people in this live right now who's been on this channel doing something. So this is how this stuff works. And this retrogrades are only here to help for us to have that time to review.
Yeah.
That's hit me.
Touch on something really quick that you mentioned, that the 21st is going to bring some of that clarity. And I just want to talk about energy for a moment, because I've heard a lot like, what is energy? And I'm not going to be the one to tell you what energy is. Go do some research. But what I am going to say is that just because things are going to be going officially direct or get clearer on the 21st, things are already getting clearer. And one of the things you mentioned, Pernell, was siblings and that young educational learning, right? This is where, in my life, this is another personal note, right? Because like I said, my channel is all about my journey. So if you follow me there as well, you'll get to see these things in real time. But how do I have my link? I have my link for you guys available for you, courtesy of my sibling. And I simply, ask, and I'm gonna give a little backstory here. We're finna get real personal, real deep, huh? Come on, Pisces. I'm the eldest of 8, but I was raised the only child. And the connections are stronger than I really knew that they were on the surface of things. But as we take that action, right, utilizing that Aries energy, and now Taurus is about that stability, right? Talking about family. I asked my sibling, I was like, hey, do you think you could help me find a booking link? This happened on, when did you let me know that we were gonna go live? It doesn't really matter. Four or 5 days ago. 4 or less than that, probably.
But the first time was like a month
was
and a
way
half
in.
ago.
Yeah, that was way in.
Like, yeah, it was like
when
a
you
month
brought
and a half,
it back,
2 months.
Yeah, when you brought it back was like maybe 3 to 5 days ago.
But you know why I brought it back?
Tell me about it. My consistency, my persistency.
You kept pushing.
Yeah.
But not even me. You kept pushing for yourself.
No, for sure.
And I saw it on your channel.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I saw it on your channel. Your videos kept popping up. And honestly, I didn't get to watch a lot of them, but I kept seeing it. So you stayed in my mind. It's no different than Shireen. There's so many people reaching out, right? But it's like certain names keep popping up. And it's like, this is 11th house. This is Aquarius. It's like your unique tribe will support you freely, literally freely. It don't cost nothing monetarily beyond, their unique skill. Let's take Fatima for a moment, right? Because it's unique skill sets. It's Aquarius, unique skill sets in your individual uniqueness in the role of a community. Fatima is a prime example. She posts some of the she'd be pinning the timestamps. That's just something that I don't have the mental capacity to do. Like, I just don't.
I love it.
But I wish that the people can actually get their forecasts and reports, and they do. So, okay, boom. Next thing you know, I don't even know what being a moderator was, but I seen it as an option, community growth, where now she's a moderator. I'm like, oh, okay, that's possible. So I kept seeing her name and on different levels. And it's the same with you. I saw your name and it was coming up on different avenues. Even on other people's channels, I'm like live with somebody else and I see your name. So energetically, we were sitting there matching up. And this is what sometimes takes something like a Gemini Mercury Retrograde. It takes time for our logic to be able to really understand what spirit is already doing. Yep.
That was highlighted for me again yesterday. And then the other thing is with this retrograde, let's focus a bit on, who you are and the role you play in your power. Y'all, I've clinged to the term superheroes. Not to say that we're this extraordinary or anything like that, because a lot of times I consider myself as average. But y'all, we all have power. And when you are working in your natural state of being, it shows. It shows. Because I'll say it like this. Pernell has seen me in other avenues with my name popping up, but I haven't seen his name popped up. But we still in the same room. We still on the same team. We got subs that come in, right? And so that was highlighted for me yesterday. I was participating in a live, and like I really got to see how my impact in being in the space literally shifted the energy and the conversation specifically. And so don't take that for granted. You may think it's just a small thing, you're just here supporting and things like that. You're way more than just a supporter. You're way more than that. So thank you, Fatima, for putting them timestamps, because we need that. We so busy trying to pump out the content because they say we got to keep it coming daily, daily, daily. But what I will say, do it the way that works for you. And that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing my entire journey. Yes, I know I go and I figure out how to grow and all this other kind of stuff, but how does it really work for you? How are you going to apply that information, right? How are you going to utilize that knowledge and put it to practice so that you become wise in these areas? I used to say I'm a jack of all trades, a master of none. And I've been hearing this a lot on TikTok, but that's not the end of the quote. I'd rather be a jack of all trades, learning to master some. That's the way I'm putting it. That's not how I heard it. That's the way I'm putting it. I am a jack of all trades, learning to master many of those. And that's why when you come to this soul chat, when you book the soul chat, you know, we may talk on a whole different, you know, topic that has nothing to do with astrology, but it's going to be brought in because that's where I'm learning. That's where I'm building. That's where I'm growing right now, because I found a sector where I can be able to see the information for what it is, interpret it from my perspective, and be able to share that. For example, I wasn't able to do that in the religious sector. It was just too many boundaries in that thing, right? And to each his own. I'm not knocking anything. To each his own. Whatever works for you, it works for you. Okay, but know that just because it works for somebody else in a particular way doesn't mean that it has to or it will work for you in that way. As long as whatever you are doing is propelling you in the direction you want to go. And I say the direction you want to go because a lot of people say forward and all this other stuff, but you can go forward, but we're in retrograde. So it's actually a time to not necessarily go backward, as I said previously, but to slow down a bit. That's still a different direction than going forward. Completely full speed ahead. Like the bull, like, oof, going after that red flag that they holding up. Because it's Taurus season. But that bull gets his footing, kicks that dirt up, looks at that target, calculates that thing, and then it goes. Just because that red thing is flashing don't mean it's gonna just go. It's got some direction, right? You set your intention. Your intention isn't everything, right? Because then the thoughts come. And then what are you focused on from those thoughts? How are those things making you feel? And then when you express, how are you choosing to express from all of that? So it's I know I've went all around the block just now, but that was for somebody. It was for me. I say it all the time. I watch my videos like a fiend. That's my addiction, to watch my own videos, because I know that at different points, at different spaces in my life, it speaks differently. I just did a revamp on the Mother's Day video. And I'll let y'all go check that out because I got some unpopular opinions about Mother's Day. Let me tell you that right now. I told you I'm the elders of A, raise the only child. Let you do the math, okay? But I was able to revamp that. And when I rewatched the video, it stirred up something new and different in me. So that's what retrograde is all about. Let's take a look back, but not be stuck in that. And I'll leave it at that. I'm a poet. Okay, I'll say this right here because another creator, I love the way they did the basis of astrology, and it was like, I am a poet with the soul of a teacher, wearing the mask of a lover. So don't think we're gonna be together just because you feel that energy, okay?
You better put on that chastity belt. You said, when you said that, I was like, put that belt on.
But like I said, there's a time and a place for everything. There's a time and a space and a place for everything, and knowing yourself, right? Because for me, when it comes to connections and relationships, it gets a little muddy. I'm gonna be real honest with you, because I yearn for connection. A Pisces take a piece of everything. It's the end of the wheel, right? So we're like, okay, I want some of this. I want this connection. I want that connection. But you have to really be honest with yourself and know what the connection is. And if you first don't know yourself, you don't need to be connected with nobody else. So I'm learning me right now. And that is why I'm not connecting with nobody. Oh, no.
Big facts. Big facts. So here we go. First off, happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. Given what PharaohLuv said as well, she said she knows she has her approach being the height of 8. And with that said, well, I know we also got a lot of mothers in the chat right now, so I want to give from both of us a happy Mother's Day. From everybody in the chat, I see y'all saying it as well. And always to remember that it's never linked to a day, right? It's never linked to one day a year, ever. So shout out to all of y'all. If you're brand new in here, definitely like this. Go ahead and drop a thumbs up for your boy. And PharaohLuv for both of us right now. I just dropped.
Subscribe. Become a member of the family. And come to his event. I've been to a few. It's life-changing, y'all. It's life-changing.
And in fact, her coming to a couple of them was one of the things that made her first kind of poke out to me. I saw her on the first one, and I was like, who that? I didn't even know she was yet. She didn't even speak yet. But I remember thinking to myself, and it was like 45 people in that event that she was in. And it's like, you know, I couldn't see everybody, but I saw her. So
you get to know this guy too.
Mm-hmm.
So hi, Catalyst. This is the catalyst in my life.
I need a cat. I need a cat for sure.
Baby. Down, baby.
All right, so we're going to get into the forecast of each zodiac sign, okay? Whatever happened back April 26th was the seeds that you planted, and it'll be coming into full fruition June 18th. Whatever happened April 26th this year was the seeds that you planted and will come into full fruition June 18th. The first day of the retreat, only for women coming down to Mexico, gang. And it's my father's birthday. Happy birthday to you early. So definitely hit that thumbs up. In the meanwhile, I won't be able to probably see the chat, but I want y'all to keep interacting while I'm doing this forecast. Given that the retrograde is tomorrow, before we get into this, I like to always do something practical. So let's just go ahead and take both our hands. I want you to put both your hands out like this. And I want you to literally start off. And whatever noise you had made, you just made. It didn't matter what. Just express it. Beautiful. Take your neck side to side and just drop it out. I'm going to have you take your shoulders, bring them up to your ears, and take the big rolls. And then notice the roll stop and slow down. And take your time. Why? In Chinese medicine, the heart has all of its relief coming through the meridians of the arms, which will start in the shoulders, and it comes out of your fingertips as it works itself down. So we start rolling on the shoulders. Because we're talking Gemini, we're going to take the arms. I'm just going to have you take inventory. I'm just taking my arm, and I'm taking inventory, and I'm just working from the top of the shoulder down to the fingertips. And what we're doing right now is we're just prepping ourselves for the retrograde. We're warming ourselves up for all of the release of our thoughts and our ideas to come into our hands and out so that we can create and materialize. That's why we're going back to retrograde and Taurus to understand what are the things now that we have some time to think of these ideas. As I switch my arms over to the top shoulder, starting off at the shoulders, everything that has been creatively trapped in your heart, this meridian line in the arm is going to bring it all the way back down, out through the hands, where we shoot that energy into creating and materializing Mercury and Taurus, what mentally has been revealed as we reviewed these goals. Now let's take your hands and just go ahead and shake them out. Any of the excess, let that energy escape. Again, coming out of the heart as you take a soft breath. And exhale easy. Okay, here we go. Starting from here, if anybody watches this on replay, if you can timestamp this, number 1 is Aries. Aries, you're going through 3rd house. Understand that every house is going to go from one house and one house down because we're starting in Gemini. We're moving back to Taurus. Aries, you're in the 3rd house, okay? This is basically you going through a review over the relationship with your siblings. I'm in Aries. I literally gave you a little story a little bit earlier how that relationship is being reviewed. It is completely under construction and review. And so I'm stepping back with siblings, but also about how am I using media? How am I communicating on the media? So one of the things I've been doing recently is actually on purpose not using curse words. Why? Because there's little strikes and things that come up that would actually affect monetization based off of, is this video actually worthy, quote unquote, worthy, I use on purpose, for ads that would eventually come on these videos. Okay, so it's like, could I just maintain my speech in the violent and impulsive passion of Aries, where sometimes with the Aries and Mercury, you just curse? Sure, but I can also just do that and understand where I'm at. This is a matter of the challenge that's coming with institutions, especially like I said before, on my hopes and my dreams, because Aries is 11th house having a clash. When it steps out of the 3rd house in Gemini, Mercury in Gemini, when we go Mercury in Taurus, it's going to be in the 2nd house. Literally talking about what do I value, potentially about the media, about the communication, about the siblings that I also had to adhere to coming into the 2nd house, which is like those values are also the resources that I'm able to accumulate, which are being challenged by Saturn for my Aries risings and my Aries sun signs. All right, you could count the moon too, but that's getting a little aggressive. And I always recommend you check your progressed rising sign from your solar return. So that's a prime example how 11th house hopes and dreams, being Saturn for me, is being challenged to say, look, Pete, check in with your language, check in with your taxes, check in with your contracts, even with the things that the people that are coming to the retreat. These are the things where, while moving really fast, did all those documents get in? Is each and every woman that's coming have all their P's and Q's? Because there's a lot of things rapidly going. This retrograde will allow all of us to come back and have those forms and types of communication. It's just real life example as in Aries, how that will play out. Taurus, you are now going through the 2nd house, but also let's say the 5th house. Now, I used to wonder early in my astrology days, like, why would it be 2nd and 5th? Because understand that Mercury is owned by 2 signs. Co-rulership, feminine, masculine. This is Gemini and Virgo. So for Taurus, you're looking at the 2nd house and the 5th house. This is you, once again, really reassessing what do you value about your creative pursuits. Value 2nd house, your creative efforts, your creative expression. On the 5th house, potentially kids and what you do to have fun. You are reassessing that in Gemini, and then in Virgo, and then when Mercury goes to Taurus, you're looking at now yourself. Who are you at the identity level? Going back to the 1st house when it goes into Taurus, that you've discovered through Mercury and Gemini about logically what you know you value. You're just going through a review of this information, literally information, and of your creative expression and how you want to show up. And the challenge is coming from Saturn here for you in the 10th house. So certain institutions may be really challenging your actual status, how you socially are appeared on screen, publicly, not necessarily what you're doing for work, but how people see you, has caught a challenge because you're reviewing your literal identity and your values and how you creatively want to be seen on the career scale. Gemini, here we are now looking at the 1st house, obviously, it'll start a show for your own retrograde. So that's your 1st house. It matches up. And for Virgo, or that side, the feminine energy, your feminine energy is going through 4th house. So for Geminis, This is you really going through that review of what are the thoughts about potentially your father in the fourth house, but also who you are and how you and your father really play a role. Now, again, my progressed rising sign is now in Gemini. So a prime example is like my father in like 3 or 4 more days, we all came from wherever we came from for my nephew's birthday. Great. So my father's now coming here. I'm having a moment to review, going back, what and who am I and who is he? And in what ways is this separate? So I found this ironic where my name is Pernell, his name is Pernell, right? So I'm a junior. There were 2 P's recently facing opposite directions, literally, in like at the high school, me working out just 2 days ago. So it was already basically showing, and I had clear confirmations that I do not walk his path and he does not walk my path. And so the challenge with Saturn here is going to come with my beliefs, because this is Saturn in the 9th house in Aquarius, Saturn Aquarius 9th house. So what are my beliefs? What have I learned on my spiritual pursuits that has created some of this separation? And some of that is my time living in Asia. Some of this is my time living in Mexico. This is a part of my personal lifestyle. It's also about long distance travel. So my father has, let's just say, for example, 4th house, 1st house, my father is in the military. So he's taken a lot of long distance travel. Now he did that under certain institutional support. I do this in a sense under my own institutional support of running my company under an institution, which is the institution of life. Literally, the Institute of Life is my company. So it's like, that's the institution with taxes and everything that I have to adhere under. Mind you, as well, this is like publishing and like foreign affairs, 9th house. So again, I'm running a company, I'm doing so abroad as a Gemini rising. So it's a prime example. I myself, 1st house, was going through here, am having to go ahead and face certain foreign affairs about the institution that I'm currently hosting, and do things legally to make sure that I'm in the right means. So that separation is a sense of what's being reviewed, in a sense. Gemini, live example. Cancer, you're going to have to go through your fears, Cancer. This is what this looks like. You're facing deep subconscious fears, and you're being forced during this to take rest. This is the 12th house for you, Cancer, and you also your 3rd house. So somewhat close to the support on Aries on the 3rd house, but different for the sense that it's in the 12th house for you, Cancer risings and Cancer suns. You are essentially now having to really address through the rest, what have you discovered potentially within your family dynamic, but because you are Cancer yourself, but primarily about what irrational fears have you had when it comes to the ways that you communicate, the ways that you potentially speak and use your skills, okay? Skills being Gemini. Skills are something that needs practice. You don't just do 1 + 1 one time and understand that it's 2. You have to keep trying. 1 + 1 is 2. 1 + 1 is 2. 1 + 1 is 2. So you're learning how to really look at these unconscious fears of yours, subconscious programmings, through rest, so that you can step into better understand when it goes Mercury into Taurus, so that you can better rationalize, okay, and ground into the worth of your dreams, because this is 11th house, which you're dipping from the 12th house to the 11th. You can rationalize your dreams, your aspirations, and how your friends are, in a sense, supporting you. You're going to understand who is that ground support of your connections, of the ways that you can use technology to make your hopes and your dreams come true. And the challenge from the institution being Saturn, Big Daddy Saturn. I wanted to say, see right there, I wanted to be like Big D Saturn, but instead of me saying Big D Saturn, I'm going to say Big Daddy. So here's how me as an Aries, I said a little earlier in the report, my communication, 3rd house, is being rewired so that I can go ahead and get that chicken. Because let's be honest, like, I can just not curse if you're going to pay me. We're talking different level. This is what it's like. It's just really improving us. So progressively, okay, from the bottom up. So for you, you're looking, your institution is the 8th house. So Cancer, for me, this is saying that you might owe some taxes. Cancer risings, Cancer suns, you might be owing some taxes. The beautiful thing is you're going to have the resources to actually make amends. Everything that you're having to share as for a resource, taxes being you're sharing money with the government, you owe the money, that you borrowed it, right? And so, or somehow, some way, it's on, you're on borrowed time. Saturn is time. You're on borrowed time. It's time to pay up. All right. But also, your hopes and your dreams with more intimate partners, 8th house. And you're likely going through a certain form of psychological transformation so that these hopes and these dreams can eventually, as you step back into that 12th house, surrender. When you step back, so when you go back to Mercury and Taurus, you're gonna step back to Mercury and Gemini, and that'll be backing from the 11th, the gains, the big gains, okay, where you really win it. Then you'll go back to 12 after, where those irrational fears will kind of be wiped up a little bit, and you'll be ready more to surrender. You're going to recognize the irrational fear, but you're going to surrender to the fact that here's what I need to do with media and my communication for those hopes and those dreams to be solid. Leo, checking in, timestamp. We are looking at 11th house for you right now. This is what Mercury and Gemini is starting off as, and you're going to move into the 2nd house. No, it's 11th and 2nd house for Gemini. You'll move into the 10th by the time Mercury goes into Taurus. Now, for you, Gemini, for you, Leo, this is saying that you're being required to think about those dreams of yours. Think about how your friendships and your tribe has and continues to support the things that you value. And you're going to be really doing inventory on who does not support and who is not stable in your friendships, for those dreams, before you really step back, Mercury and Taurus, into really identifying and making adjustments on the career and how that career looks, how that status and how you want to show up. So you're kind of going to go backwards for a moment before you go forward again. And you're like, yeah, this is how I want to appear as a performer. But the challenge from Saturn and Aquarius will come in the sense where the one-on-one relationships you have, not just romantic, but platonic, as well as business partnerships, will basically create a certain sense of challenge, a barrier, a block in a way that would say, are you sure this is how you want to look? 10th house on the public stage, before you step back into really making the money and having the friendships. So by June 18th, you're going to be right back on track. So you are a fixed sign. I just feel like it's important to know that those one-on-one relationships don't overpower these people, because if you do, you're likely going to miss out on some of your big dreams coming true by just taking that authoritative emperor approach, or allowing yourself to accept that your pride is just too big to play with other big and creative players. Oh, Leo, you got that work. Okay. Woo! And then I have Virgo. Virgo, I'm going to take a moment to talk about, for you, Virgo risings, Virgo suns, you're going through 1st house. Why? That's one of your natal planets as a feminine energy. So you're in the 1st house here. And for the opposite, Mercury and Gemini, you're going through 10th house. You are really taking inventory and reviewing, what are your thoughts about yourself and about how you appear? This is essentially you now learning how to just not be so self-critical, because you're naturally self-critical. And the certain forms of self-criticism just no longer, through this retrograde in Gemini, it no longer makes sense when you apply logic to it. Okay, you may have certain talents to be neurotic about your own personal identity, especially on that public scale and how people see you, which really is holding back your ideas and your thoughts, and is not really allowing the worth of who you are to be an accurate representation of how people see you. So that's when Mercury goes into Taurus, you're going to look more at the 9th house. This is, again, a review of potentially what long distance travels have you already taken, and what beliefs have been formed during those travels, or during the certain studies that you had in university, or just any form of higher learning where you're taking a bigger picture approach, which doesn't allow you to be so self-critical with that big picture approach. Saturn in Aquarius will give you that opposition. It'll give you that T-square heat, and that will play, and it requiring you to essentially improve, because going through the 6th house. So improve bit by bit, not necessarily in a direct way, but in a mutable way. A little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit there. It'll help you improve your actual health, Virgo. for my Virgo risings and more, it's like, what are you doing on a routine base that will really just aid you in how you see yourself now and aid you in that higher belief you have of yourself so that you can show up better and bigger on the scene, more accurately, you, Virgo. So I take a moment to say, definitely like this. If you are in there, I want to have you share if you heard your rising sign so far, Aries down to Virgo, first 6 zodiac signs. Share something that really may be relevant, a personal story that you can help another person in the community, even if they're not in here live now, they might be coming back on their replay and they might see something because people watch those live replays. I promise you that, because I see how many people watch the video when I finish and I see where those video views and hours go after. And a lot more people watch replays. They're not always live and being able to be available. So if you can share something in the chat to help the people out on the first 1 through 6 zodiac signs, do that. I'm going to take a voice break and say, PharaohLuv, what do you have for us from everything that I heard so far? And what might you want to contribute before I dive into the next 6?
Man. Oh, so before I interject my thoughts, for Aries, you said it was the first house, and what other house? Is it impacting with the feminine and the masculine energies?
For Aries?
Uh-huh.
So Aries is 3rd house, 2nd house.
3rd house, 2nd house. Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's 3rd house and it's 3rd house and it's gonna move into the 2nd house. So technically it's 3rd house and 6th house. It's our daily work. I didn't make that mention for Aries earlier. That's on me.
Okay. So it's 6.
It's our daily work, and it's our 3rd house of communication, as well as local transportation, siblings, potentially learning certain skills. And then it moves into the 2nd house when Mercury goes into Taurus.
Got you. So just to clarify, the feminine and masculine energy as it pertains to Mercury, Gemini, Virgo ruler is 3rd and 6th house.
Mm-hmm.
Bam. Okay. So
yep.
With that being said, I'm a note taker. Okay. And
do it.
I'm very visual. So when you see where some bold things, that's just what I'm gonna talk about on the bolding. And then it correlates with some of the other things that I already prepared. So the one thing that sticks out to me is Virgo. And I'm gonna say I'm all about the journey, right? And sharing my personal experiences as a Pisces who really looks at everything, right? And so Virgo, the thoughts about self. That's why I'm here, right? Because you have some thoughts about yourself that you need to take a look at and reevaluate. I have some thoughts about myself that I need to take a look at and reevaluate during this retrograde. And what is that going to do? It's going to improve the health. I have a lot of, and not to call these things into existence, it just is what it is, right? When it comes to my gut, my intuition, that's where I feel most unhealthy. When it comes to my weight, not that I'm overweight or anything like that, but just being persistent and consistent in whatever workout regimens you're doing or ways to just get moving, right? That's sort of that connection that I have here with Pernell, whereas he's an Aries in 3 placements. 3 is a very significant number in my life and in all of our lives. Because you know what that is? Community. And that's Gemini, which is one of the rulers of Mercury, right? And so my position in this world, in this existence, and my lessons and my divine purpose is to help to connect those dots. And you don't connect dots moving forward. You connect them when you're able to look back and analyze. Here we are again, retrograde, right? And so we're able to analyze how our past has impacted us. Your past does not define you. Let's just say that right here, right now. Your past does not define you. Your past is here to remind you of the things that you have experienced so that you can be in this present moment. Your present moment is actually what defines you, and your future is what rewards you. So let's be present in this now moment, taking in this information, not allowing ourselves to be overwhelmed, right? And this is to restore those foundations. That's what retrograde is really about. I don't know who's talking about it, but I'm talking. Retrograde is to restore the foundations. And how do we restore the foundations? If you book a soul chat, we're going to talk about these things. It's all about the knowing what you like. Let's get away from all the negative, right? We ain't got to put these negative titles up to draw people in. I'm guilty. I'm guilty of wanting the likes and wanting the engagement and wanting participation. I'm guilty, y'all. But that's not what it's about. If it's only one person in the room, if it's nobody in the room, that means it's meant for me. And sometimes it's people in the room, they just don't let themselves be known. It's okay. It's okay, right? Knowing how you operate. There's many perspectives, many possibilities, many ways to do things, more than just one. Not just in the religious sector, not just in the government sector, and all those 5 pillars, not just in entertainment, right? There's many ways to look at it, and perspective is what retrograde is allowing us to focus on right now. Knowing why you're triggered. Ooh, retrograde gonna trigger some people. It's triggering. That's what it does. Because if you don't want to slow down and you're forced to slow down, you're like, why? And if you already slow down, you might feel like you're in real slow mo. Why? So why are you triggered? That's what we're gonna talk about in these soul chats. Knowing who you are within. It's about knowing yourself from the inside out and not comparing yourself from the outside in. I'll say it again. Knowing yourself from the inside out and not comparing yourself from the outside in. Okay. And then the 5th one is that one, well, actually it's who, what, when, where, how, and why. That's the questions that I'm asking in these soul chats. And so the when, that Gemini, right? Because I got that Gemini moon. That's how we feel. So the when and the where are together. So that brings it to that 5 pillar, right? So knowing who you are from within, and then that 5th pillar, knowing when to act and where to direct your attention, so that your intentions can be manifested even greater than what you anticipated the outcome to be, because it's gonna be greater. I know from experience, it's gonna be greater. And when you write it down and make it plain, let me just go back to this personal experience again. These some other notes, and I wrote this. This is when I'm a student. I wrote this in pencil because I wanted to be able to erase some things if I didn't really mean it. So this is my foundation for my business, and we just starting this thing in this phase of it. In this phase of it, we've been on this journey for. I got notes for days. Okay, but with this right here, when I was doing the booking link, the way you're able to book a soul chat with me today, when I was working with my virtual assistant, okay, I asked for these things, and you'll notice it when you book. I asked for a calendar specifically. It's 5 things I asked for. I asked to be able to block off times where I'm available and not. I asked for payment method to be embedded. You could pay from right there using Stripe, Stride, or you'll see what it is, whatever it is. You do it right all there, right? And then customer information retention, so that we're able to stay connected. Right? I'm not going to spam you with a bunch of extra stuff, but as long as connection from you to me creates unity, if you're putting forth effort and I'm putting forth effort, we're working together as a team, that's what you're going to be receiving from me. And then an email list. So I told y'all I'm a poet with the soul of a teacher, wearing the mask of a lover. So there will be some poetic things that I might want to send your way. I'm pretty sure you've heard some of those poetic ways. Can you speaking today?
After the next 6 forecast, can you drop a poem? Like when I say these next when I say these next 6 forecasts, can you in that same time gather up one of your poems and be ready to bust it? But I mean like with the passion. I mean like the slam poetry, like you at Fort Knox and you got millions of people. Like I want that level of passion.
We taking it there. We taking it there. Okay. I have one that has been, as I speak about it, this poem's right over there, and I'm gonna read one from there. And I believe it's something like a haiku, so it'll be nice, short, and sweet. But I promise you, it's gonna be impactful. Ready for six.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. So definitely stay tuned, y'all, so you can hear her hit the haiku. And I'm a big fan of haiku. Haiku is probably one of my favorite poem styles growing up, for sure.
It may or may not be. I'm learning, but I feel like y'all let me know in the comments below once I share it if it's a haiku or not.
At this point, you know, really, we creating a new system, so who cares?
Hey, it's a haiku. Let's do it.
What's up? What's up? What's up, Secret? How you doing? Did you get a chance to check out that dragon activation? I just wanted to shoot that out loud. I saw your name because you were the one I first thought about to make it in the first place. Working with these young men out here in their woods, balance out Mother Gaia energy. Absolutely. So definitely, it sounds like when you were talking, I'm like, man, I feel like everybody need to book a soul chat with you. That's what I was feeling like. And you know, she spoke on those things and she actually acted on them. Like I already saw how the calendar is blocked off at certain time frames. I looked at it, you know. I saw that she already had the payment styles embedded into it. I looked at it. And so, you know, she wrote that, right? And you see all of that already has been manifested. That is the definition of Venus in Aries, and the expansion will come when Jupiter gets there, especially as these retrograde goes out, because Jupiter goes tomorrow at the same time when Mercury retrogrades. But even within that, it's still going to be expanding yourself, but just at a slower rate. And that's kind of what you want Aries to do. You want Aries to be a little checked, to be able to expand properly. So I love the clap. Clapping is actually a super powerful technique to just really be in the right energy, to really just feel worthy of everything you do and proud of yourself. The inside, not the outside in. She said it. Okay. Timestamp, going at it. Scorpio, here we go. My Scorpio risings out there. I know the big part of the community is on that Scorpio wave. You are going through the 11th house in this Mercury retrograde between Gemini and Taurus. And on the opposite yin yang side, you're going through the 8th house. Okay. What is this? What does this mean? You are starting to go over the thoughts, the communications that need to be had in order for your hopes and your dreams to align again, after allowing your ideas to spread, okay, randomly in a mutable, windy type way, just fitting in all the cracks. You are now understanding that there are certain friends, there are certain connections that logically, they really don't, you recognize, value you or who you are. With logic, you've been able to recognize like, hey, here's how I need to upgrade because my self-worth has went up. Has the people that I value in my friendships, has that gone up as well? And I'm a Scorpio rising, and I can tell you like, this has been a part of it. Like I'm back here in my hometown. Do you know how many people I told I was in Connecticut? Nobody that's not on my YouTube. If you're not on my YouTube, you don't even know I'm in the damn state right now. I didn't make that. I didn't say I'm flying in from Mexico on Facebook to Hartford, Connecticut. I didn't say that. I don't want people to know. So it's like, why? Because this is what I value, this particular platform. So it's almost like for me, if you're not supporting, if you're not rocking with me here, then really you don't have too much relevance in my life. It really is just that simple to me. 11th house is technology among friends and colleagues and networks. It's using the expansion, the friends of the friends of the friends. And for me, it's like, if I look at, let's say, the Peace Dealer right now, okay, he's one of those extensions that I believe that PharaohLuv came, who is now on this particular channel. So look at how that's worked. That's how she met. That's how she met. So mind you, I'm putting my values here. I'm now taking the moment to look back through, or Scorpio risings and Scorpio suns, to look back through who are the people that I've been more deeply intimate with, that I've deeply invested with, because that's the 8th house now being applied. And as well as when it comes to like certain taxes that have been put on my connections. When I say taxes, I don't mean like money, but like what has been taxing on what friendships have been taxing for me. So like there are certain people, it's just like, I just dead stop talking to. It's just like I got like, hey, do you want to explain yourselves? And it's like, I don't actually, I just don't. Like, you can move on. And like, it was just like, it was clear. But some of those I may be going back through in this retrograde to review. It's like, hey, look, I had a lot of people acting real funky. Not everybody in that funk was on the side that needs to be excommunicated. So it's going to be about retrograde going back to see who do I value now before I start really communicating with them again after Mercury leaves Taurus again back into Gemini. So that then allows you to take a moment when it goes into Taurus to look at my one-on-one relationships. This is literally can look like romance, because Scorpio, I know that you've had a lot of fifth house Pisces energy all prior, where you met a lot of romantic partners, not necessarily you specifically, but a lot of Scorpios have met romantic partners that I really feel like clearly this is more about romance and less about business, even though it could be about your one-on-one friendships. I have a feeling, I skipped Libra. Thank you. I appreciate you. I have a feeling that for my Scorpio risings, these one-on-one connections will eventually have a moment to challenge you. Why? Because Saturn is in Aquarius, and that's coming in at the 4th house. So that challenge now looks like your foundation, okay? 4th house for me in this instance feels like fertile ground. Certain institutions will challenge the fertility of those connections, of those one-on-one relationships, and as well as taxes. So this is where the 8th house, being the place of taxes as a resource that you share with the government in a sense, that you have to pay up. This is now 4th house saying, hey, look, in order to keep building on this fertile ground, we need you to do some stuff. So I'll give you a prime example. My YouTube only really recently monetized on my birthday. What a freaking blessing. Hey, look at me. I'm getting better. I know, right? What a you know, what a gift, right? Now, only just yesterday, actually I lied. Today, I only got approved. My first couple applies to actually be able to collect the monetization of YouTube is been denied. Flat out. But today, I saw a notification saying you got approved. But now it said, because I got approved, I have to go back and put in, this is for Scorpio rising, real life example of that fertile ground I'm talking about, to make sure that the ground with this YouTube platform is fertile, okay? 4th house challenge, this institution, they're saying now, okay, make sure you, next step, go put in your payment method. So great, I got approved. But now delays, retrograde, delays. Saturn's going to go retrograde, delays. That approval now says, hey, look, now you got to put in your payment. So now when I put my payment method so that they can actually pay, now they're going to probably say something next. And what will that be? So this is like a way where Saturn and Aquarius, you can see the challenges, which aren't really that tough. Okay, all I had to do is reapply. And then from there, I got to put the credit card in. Then from there, it's just step by step. And we don't have all of them right now. I'm going to backtrack. Timestamp, Libra. Thank you, Fatima. That's why you are one of the most beautiful moderators on the planet. She actually just let me know that. And I really appreciate you tremendously. A couple people say, you skipped Libra. Did you do Libra? I'm saying Libra. Oh, my Libra's out here. Libras.
Look, how I missed that. I'm a whole Libra rising. I'm in it. I'm Pisces in it right now, though.
Wow. So what's nice is what I've been recognizing about my Libra sons is my Libra sons been making mad dough. They've been making cake. And what I've been recognizing about my Libra risings is y'all getting set up to rise to the cake that the Libra sons are already making. I've been really recognizing that. So just as a start, I ain't even look at the report yet, Libras. I really see you about to get the bag. Honestly. Now, let's read this report on this retrograde to see how is your mind catching up with what I just said. Okay, here we go. 9th and 12th house. It's starting because you're starting to probably believe that getting the bag and sacrificing some fun is worth it. This is what's happening, what it looks like. It looks like the institution, Saturn Aquarius, is challenging you in the 5th house. This is fun. To me, this looks just like fun. I'm not going to lie to you. This is just fun. It could be your kids, okay? You could be challenged by like your school system and your kids are like, you know, being some baby kids and they're really getting in trouble. So that's a possibility for sure. But ultimately, one of these institutions is challenging your ability to express yourself more creatively, as well as maybe it's saying you can't have fun in some way, shape, or form, there's a restriction around that fun, around that expression, around your children, okay, around what makes you unique, even in the ways that you relate with others. There's somebody restricting you in a way where, if I bring him back to Mercury in Gemini, this is what it's doing, is making you slow down to look at your belief systems and to check in with your irrational fears. For my Libra risings and for my Libras, what are the irrational fears that this rest time frame away from the public eye has been showing you as a step for what thoughts and ideas are just completely irrational and out of pocket? And also, in what ways have you looked at your own worth, your sense of worth, your sense of value? And what ways have you irrationally looked at money as, you know, maybe I'm not worthy fully of charging the appropriate price? And all you really need to do is take the time away from some of the more fun endeavors to say, look, let me save a little bit of chicken right here, and then take the fun back so that I can get my belief systems and these rational fears back in check and really reprogram my subconscious program. That's in Gemini. And then you will then bring back to April 26th, look at what were you sharing? What might you have owed? You had some taxes, you had some dues to the government because of some fun that you had and earlier stages. You were having some fun, you were out there riding, you were partying, you were doing something that allowed you to kind of skip the dues on this institution. You were looking at parking tickets, you were looking at something that you owed. Ooh. And I know you were Libra rising. I know.
If you know, you know.
If you know. If you know, you know.
So I'll say this: you literally touched on exactly, and I know you really know. You touched on exactly how it's impacted. Exactly. Parking tickets, speeding tickets, tickets. Do you got the golden ticket? Do you got the golden ticket? We all got the golden ticket, but what kind of ticket is it?
That's what it is. So let's say the fun, okay, speeding, quote unquote, let's call it fun. Now the popo goes, we got to throw those restrictions. So this retrograde is really helping you understand, you know, what logically have you really learned from this, Gemini, and then what do you value now? You might really look at it as, okay, those amounts that you had to pay for the ticket, there's certain fun that you did value that the government said pay up because you went to the 8th house. They were like, you owe us. And now you're looking at it like, you know what? It's not really worth speeding anymore because I could have put this directly towards my retreat, AKA my fun, AKA something helping me with 5th house, Aquarius, Saturn Aquarius, with my more unique versions of me. Like this is a version of me. And now that I went through this delay, I am recognizing here's the updated parts of what I find unique now. That hit as a Libra rising, that hit?
Yeah. So what I'll say, for me, it was just a slightly different because it wasn't necessarily speeding tickets. This was the institutions trying to take me out. I was distracted while on the road. So I ran some red lights when I needed to stop or at least slow down. Just because it's yelling on me, you got to plow through that thing. Slow down, baby, slow down. So it was like little technical things, right? Where we're talking about learning, right? I'm gonna go right back to that analogy because somebody, somewhere, someplace needs to continue to hear this about this informational technology age. Information is just information. That's it. You can be here watching all day long, but what you gonna do when you turn off this live? What action you gonna put in? So that information, when you know how to utilize it, becomes knowledge. Once you know how to utilize the knowledge, now it's time to put it into action. And retrograde is allowing you to really look at how to utilize the knowledge so that it becomes wisdom. And G, you are you. Be the guru. Own that. Do the work. Put in the effort that it takes because it's not easy. It's not effortless. But it can be if you put in the work.
She said the key word, wisdom, because this is going through your 9th house for Libra rising. That is the wisdom, okay? This is how you became the teacher because you had to learn the lesson on the opposite end, and that allowed you to teach in a different way. I have my Sag. I don't know if Missy is still in here. I saw it earlier. Sag, here is your retrograde report. We are taking a review of how you appear. What is your reputation? How are you socially known? okay? And as well as the 7th house, that's 10th and 7th house, as well as the 7th house, where you're really taking inventory on your one-on-one relationships. You're starting to really look at objectively what has my curiosity shown me. You know, you've been engaging in certain one-on-one relationships. This could be friendships, romances. Ooh, I just got a gut drop in my stomach. My whole schnizhnit just that. Blah! So whoever that was, I just blah, my jump blah, dropped in my gut. You know, really, you're taking inventory and you're like, look, okay, I'm looking at this a little more rationally. And I was a little curious, Gemini, in certain one-on-one relationships. And, you know, you're now looking at how does that make me look publicly? And you're taking a review of this. But I'll say that it primarily has to do with, as you step back into Mercury and Taurus, your work, okay? Potentially also just because it's 6th house, which could be the body and how you take care of your body through routines, which leads to mental health. So it could definitely be through you taking, you know, something where it's like you're reviewing certain conversations you had one-on-one with people about potentially what's going to lead you back to, here's how my body is. Maybe you think that you're overweight. Maybe you think that you're too skinny and anorexic. One of these conversations, you're starting to review with a little more logic. And you're starting to recognize, what did you value about those discussions? And it's going to play well for you to be able to show up better. And when I say better, I mean improved. 6th house is what it's going to. 6th house is improvement. It's going to have you improve what that image looks like. You're going to have a better, more clear idea of what you value that you can then begin to communicate appropriately. Your challenge from Saturn and Aquarius will then really more so be about the 3rd house. Now you're going to better be able to use the media. Certain institutions are going to create some delays around media. This could just be your laptop or your technology just not working. Whatever your forms of communication just not working. Now you're going to be like, okay, I got it. I'm ready. I know how I want to look. I know how I want to appear on that screen. But then it could be like, oh, it's not working. You know, Instagram's not posting your reel. And that could be a little annoying. Or what you're trying to communicate could be slowed down. And even just say, look, you might even get banned from or, striked on one of your channels, and it doesn't allow you to continue and speak up. Or that institution could say something like, you know, you're going through a custody battle or something like that through a sibling. I don't want to say custody battle with a sibling because that sounds awkward. I don't know who really does that, but some kind of battle with your siblings where you might be in court. You might be in court with your siblings. I could see that happening. You got to go through really learning your lesson with that sibling so that you can better show up again publicly in whatever way that may have impacted you. Cap risings, timestamp. Thank you. Cap moon, Cap sun, primarily risings. I say again, check your progress rising. The seeds that you planted in the retrograde back to April 26th. Here's what we're looking at as you get out of it in June 18th, when the review is done, finally out of shadow. Mercury in retrograde is going through your belief systems. You are now beginning to look very objectively, and you are now essentially not being bitter or even depressed because your whole belief has changed up. You might likely have even taken the long distance trip, which is going to help you to take a little bit more of that objective approach, where you might get back to the base of your family. You might even be just going home to the base of your family. It doesn't have to be blood family, mind you, but the base support of whatever you find stable. You might be going back real quick to, what brings you a certain sense of comfort and stability. And during this time frame, your beliefs going through a shift and a makeover through just thought and reorganization of your values and what you really find worthy. You're then looking at your day-to-day work in a different way, as well as potentially your body. It could be either or, what your routines look like for your work or for your body. But you're going to now start to take this review of your thoughts, of your ideas, and the values that you have. And you're going to look at this with a whole new set of eyes as you step back, which will be done June 18th or so. And this is all happening primarily with your children, okay, as you step into the 5th house, then next, your children, or even how you have fun, okay? You might have valued something in your more non-committal relationships or even in your party life, or even in just fun and how you created to express yourself. You might have really had some new ideas that needed to go back over what do you value now that these shifts have happened in your whole belief system, in your whole set of skills when it comes to the wisdom you have. And now that is going to bring you to a place where the challenge might come from money. This might cost you. This trip for my Cap risings, it might cost you because you're going through second house with institutions. They might challenge the things that you actually have, whether it's your money, whether it's your home, whether it's, you know, even food. Second house could be food. You might be challenged with, like, while taking this trip, you're not eating the foods that were keeping your mind in a more healthy state, away from depression, because you're not eating things that are more processed. Because mind you, you're taking a trip to a whole new place potentially, and your beliefs are changing, and your sixth house is in activation. So second house is also foods, which the foods you value is what you're putting a routine around what you eat, Caps. So Capricorns, that's what that looks like for you on this time frame. You get out of it June 18th. Relatable. I saw that. Thank you. We got poets in the gang. If you're fresh on here, like this, throw the thumbs up. Definitely check out the Angel Reiki that we're doing. I'm helping you close doors with Archangel Michael, among other things. We'll have some other guests, which I'll be solidifying, so don't worry about it. I dropped the link right there. Ooh, shit, crap. Dang, I just spilled my aqua water and I got caught. Look at this. That's interesting. Oh, yeah, black and white, the yin and the yang. Wow, that's really interesting. That's awkward. And I dropped my water, but it had lemon and lime in it. I really be dropping stuff, y'all. Like, what is it with me, yeah? Okay. Aqua risings. Seeds. Okay. Happy Monday, y'all. What's up, Divine Orisha? Good to see you in here on the live chat. Drop your rising sign in the chat for everybody. I see Megan on down. Okay, bang. What's up? What's up? How you doing? I see you in a little bit. It's good to see you all. With that said, we're at Aqua Risings. For the retrograde, Mercury retrograde, you're starting off in the 8th house, okay? And you're looking at more objectively, what are the things that you got to get sorted out between what you share with people, what you share with people on an intimate level, or what you share with the government, okay, as well, when it comes to taxes, or just resources as a whole, potentially just money, potentially just a home that you share. This could be so many things, but something that you share more intimately with another, you're looking at this objective. You're saying, hey, you know what? Because 8th and 5th house is going over it. You know what? Something about this really I need to work with, because it's either holding my fun up, it's holding back my real creative expression, or, you know, it's impacting my children in a way that I really need to take a different look at this. So this is then going to, as Mercury leaves Gemini into Taurus as in the retrograde, you're going to now bringing yourself back to April 26th, when you planted the seeds for this retrograde, when it first hit shadow. You're now looking at the home life. You're looking at the family. You're looking at, you know, what role has your father potentially played on a generational scale that played into you, which ultimately this challenge will hold you back as an individual. Literally, because the Saturn in Aquarius is going through a first house transit for you. Saturn is in Aquarius, so first house, right? And it's literally like, you know, what institution is holding you back as an individual, possibly because you owe some tax money, possibly because you had a little bit of fun that, or you're not having fun, one or the other, and this is costing you whatever this intimate relationship or bond you have with somebody, potentially even in the family. So, you know, let's say, for example, my father is actually in Aquarius rising. And I talked to you a little bit about earlier in this video on what's happening with me being back home. So if I try to think about that, he's actually going to be here in the same state in a couple of days. All of us live in different places. And it's like, if I was to see this, as you step back to him himself, was the restriction, Saturn in Aquarius, on himself, something that he's sharing will ultimately play with his kids, because I'm one of his kids, 5th house. Something that he's sharing with other people more intimately has an impact on the children as a whole. And it's going to make sure he really overviews, or just Aquarius in general will overview the family base, okay, the fertile ground, and say, look, well, what about me is being challenged where I need to kind of like upgrade this so that fun and children and what I'm sharing with others can be restored in a way that's aligned with my logical thoughts about what I value. Finally, we have Pisces risings and my Pisces out here. Before, we have a poem coming from PharaohLuv, Haiku Hybrid, and we'll give you that in a second. We have 7th house in Aquarius. You are looking at your partnerships, okay? You are looking at what does a fair and balanced approach to partnerships look like. You're being required to see this objectively and really tap into your value systems, tap into what does your money look like, okay, within your partnerships, within your one-on-one relationships. And you're really being required to take inventory of this and just really take a new look at your mind and see what's happening now, especially with how is your family impacting some of this dynamic in the 4th house. And what does that fertile ground look like as you look more objectively at these thoughts and ideas that you have, that you're sharing with somebody on a one-on-one scale, between friendships, between your romances, and between your business partnerships. Ultimately, that's going to bring you back to really learning something new. When you go back into April 26th, where we hit shadow for the retrograde, back Mercury in Taurus, you're looking at what was I learning around then that has created a more, that has really solidified the foundation of my family dynamics, the relationship with my father for Pisces risings to Pisces suns, as well as that going to play well these skills that I've learned in my one-on-one social collectives, these individual skills I've learned. How can I work well with my partner? And for Pisces rising, I see that happening, which is dope. But the challenge for you is going to be that Saturn Aquarius is in the 12th. So you know, literally, Aquarius is, I know, you know what these irrational fears are, but you might have to actually go ahead and address these rational fears with those one-on-one partnerships we're talking about in order for the skills that you learned back around April 26th to, in your partnerships, be a part of the fertile ground, be a part of the family. There are certain forms of rest and realizations that you've had in your rest that says, look, you have to surrender here. Some format, some institution will force you in a sense to surrender to those irrational fears so that you can take what you learned and allow it to play well in your one-on-one dynamics to create a more fair and balanced foundation. Everything for every sign is June 18th when we get out of here, when all of the shadow was gone. Like I said, on some dates up front, April 26th is when we kind of planted the seeds for this particular retrograde to understand what this might look like. Look back 2021, last year, from May to June. There is something going on. I gave you live examples if you were watching this live a little earlier of what that looked like for my life, how to apply it. Back May, June last year, it's likely to be a little lesser example of this. You're going to be able to approach all of this in a much more smooth way. And then we kind of go back into this year where things are really starting to get clear and the delays are going to start to make more sense. Why are you being slowed down? Why is your tech not working? Why is your phone broke? Why did you know that it was going to work, but it didn't work when you tried to make it work, but now it's working, but it didn't happen at the time you wanted? You're going to basically on May 21st have the Cazimi. This is essentially the halfway point when Mercury is conjunct at basically 0 degrees with the sun in Gemini. This is the Mercury Cazimi. This is when things first start to get clear, but it does not mean that we're out yet. There's still going to be delays involved because around June 3rd, we're going to have Mercury go direct at 26 degrees of Taurus, where this direct will start to say, boom, you can now start to move forward where you left off from April 26th. You have everything back in play. You understand what needs to happen. You saw clearly on May 21st. Now, June 3rd, it's like we're direct. It's basically that rewind to April 26th. You can go forward. We have no more restrictions that we're going to give you. You can start to go at it. And this is when Jupiter in Aries will really start to blast that off. And June 5th, I got to tell you up front, we also got Saturn going retrograde. So I remember that. I got to pull back on the brakes and say that we still going to be slowed down by Father Time itself. And it's going to say, hey, look, here are these responsibilities that I have. This is the time that it's going to take to build these progressive systems, plans, and outlets for the things that you value to allow you to really rethink about the bigger picture. All these institutions will check you, each different for each person, check your forecast. You're going to understand these delays, but they're going to be there until we finally get out June 18th, because that Saturn retrogrades to the next like 6 to 8 months. So don't even worry about it. Once it starts, like just let that thing do what it's going to do, because it's going to take long. But June 18th, we're finally out. We leave the shadow. We'll be at 4 degrees of Gemini. Everything's cleared up. I want to say definitely before we give it to PharaohLuv, like this video. If you really appreciated the information, if you appreciated the exchange so far, as she gets ready to take the mic back and throw out this poem with all her heart, all her love, I want you to show the love by going ahead and dropping the thumbs up. I'm going to drop her booking link as well to really have a soul chat with her. And I'll make one more mention to say, hey, definitely show up to the Angel Reiki, where all of this stuff, these delays, are going to help you to close certain doors and just really go through the process and grieve the things that need to be grieved, not just intellectually, but also when it comes to being more intimate with yourself. So that's the Lunar Eclipse event. Definitely want to see y'all all there for that Angel Reiki meditation, where we'll have some guests sharing their skills. PharaohLuv, here we go. As I take a moment to just remind people on this shared screen, today was all about action-based knowledge, okay? Wisdom, really taking the logic that Mercury in Gemini has for us and realizing how to take the action. Because right now, Venus is in Aries, so we value action, we value assertion. Jupiter will be there soon. We're going to expand on that assertion that we value. So all these parts are very critical up front. Pharaoh, how you doing? Living Waters, Ray, thank you. Fatima, Shireen, Divine Arisha, Majin, boom, boom, boom. All right, Pharaoh, here we go.
All right, before I dive into the poetry, trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. Prepare your hearts, your minds, your souls, as we are restoring the foundations from which the trauma stemmed. Whatever that looks like for you, it may not be the exact same as my expression, my perspective, or my story, but you too have a story, a perspective, and it's time to release what no longer serves you. Clarity, ain't nothing like some clarity. I'm talking clarity. What's up with you? What's up with me? Clarity. Him on me. So hot and sweaty, like fish and spaghetti. Him on me. Clarity. Ain't nothing like some clarity. I'm talking clarity. What's up with you? What's up with me? Can we get some clarity? Thank you. Trauma it's not easy to face a lot of the times. And healing is an ongoing journey. You will be triggered. You will be tried. You will be tested. But what is being clarified in these moments is the truth of your character. You didn't ask for these things, but we chose the experiences in which we've experienced in order to grow and expand. We have to shed light on those things that were done in the dark. If you don't speak for yourself, there's no one who can speak for you. Clarity. Ain't nothing like some clarity. I'm talking clarity. What's up with you? What's up with me? Clarity. Thank you.
Let's just take a moment to give her some love on that, just in silence. Thank you. You got people in the chat really expressing how badly they needed to hear such a thing. And I thank you tremendously as well for sharing. That said, yeah, beautiful voice, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I really love when I see y'all support like this, snapping my fingers. I just know my spiritual brothers and sisters can feel it. You know, my real name is Rita Marie. And thank you for sharing your name because it makes me happy. I've seen your name a couple of times. Rita Marie, I remember that. You've done people that felt that, really lovely to meet. Bang. You even also got a book. Somebody also booked a soul chat with you before you did the song. So, you know, this is a live example of what happens when you go ahead and you take those new fresh starts, Venus in Aries, when you just don't have to always know what's on the other side, but you bring the dreams into reality, grounded reality with action, and understand that retrogrades will help us out. This is what I would like to change as for the narrative. It's not a bad thing when these delays happen. It just asks you very kindly to go ahead and make sure you appreciate and you love yourself in that mental part, whatever the sign is going on, Gemini and Taurus now, to love the more sensual parts, okay, about yourself, Taurus, to love the logical thoughts and ideas that can really bring you your creativity into a plan, into a format that you can then express and communicate with others and grow as a skill. These retrogrades are amazing. This live, quite frankly, was amazing. If I don't say so myself, and I do. And I thank each and every one of y'all for really being here, because this is also just like a very clear indication of how, as a community, we've just took a moment on a Monday. This is a moon day to actually go ahead and support the emotions of the collective, of not only PharaohLuv, but myself, because I also was in my own emotional funk even before getting on, where I was like, ooh, you know, energy ain't really what I would prefer, but it is what it is. And this was healing for me as well. And I imagine I see so many people in the chat that said they needed that. So thank you, Secret. She's saying that was beautiful, sister. Really, again, you know, I want to make sure that I keep featuring people in here because we all have a voice. We all have a story. We all have something that's beautiful. You got people right now. What's beautiful to me is, somebody's heart chakra right now is just weeping with a thank you. Divine Orisha is saying, between the Tibetan singing bowl and the love of the fur baby, I'm seeing in total heaven right now. That's just like, wow, like, come on. That's just like, ooh wee. I take all that magic and happily share it, happily spread it, because she shared it. PharaohLuv shared it, and I thank y'all for giving her the love. Yeah. So with that said, I'm going to drop one last time PharaohLuv's link to take on a soul chat with her. Like I said, understand it that she's working with me, and them prices ain't gonna be what it is forever. So that's an absolute promise, because I want all my people to win. So that's gonna rise accordingly. So yeah, better go ahead and take it while it's at those foundational levels, because the reality is just because the business side of it ain't where it's going to be, doesn't mean that her wisdom, her intellect, or her experiences are anything less than. So just really take note and inventory of that, because that's everybody in the chat. Just because your prices, quote unquote, and the investments you made on that level aren't accurate to your worth, does not mean that you're not worth more. So really take those fresh new starts. Use this Aries energy that's going to be coming in between Jupiter coming soon tomorrow, Venus in Aries already, Mars in Aries following after. And use your networks, use your community. So I dropped that chat. I think I dropped it. I'm gonna do it again just in case. Oh, nope, that's the wrong one. Crap. That's the Angel Reiki. Obviously still comes to that joint as well, which is on Saturday. Like I said, I got my 2 candles. One's gonna be for the throat chakra and our creativity, to help close doors that have been blocking our creative efforts, as well as our heart, because the heart is really linked. To be able to lead with passion and creativity from the heart, you need that first before you can really begin to express at a divine capacity. Ooh. Absolutely. Does she have a Cash App so we can send her a donation? Yo, can you WhatsApp that to me? Can you WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Can you WhatsApp me your Cash App? I'll drop it in the chat right now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Arisha, for the suggestion. I thought about it a little bit earlier and I just forgot. Like, I think she was talking and I just didn't say it to interrupt. Her voice is powerful, as well as she can command the room. Gang, gang, whole tribe is winning. This was right on time. Literally got out of therapy at 2. Bang, bang. This is lovely. Thank you for the suggestion, Arisha. You sent that to me? Yep. Nope.
I'm doing it right now. Doing it right now.
Okay, here we go. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna drop that, and I'm gonna drop it in the description as well for anybody that don't get to check it yet. As we all go through this collective healing, we all go through this collective moment to just one time embrace. Okay, I got it right here. Look at that. I tapped that thing, and that thing came through. I was like, deliver! Deliver us! Okay.
Deliver us!
PharaohLuv.
You should be able to just click right on that and go straight to it. No searching, none of that.
Bang. So please, it would be dope. Definitely hit her with a donation. I'll drop that in the description as well for anybody on the follow-up. And do you have any last words, Pharaoh, that, you got it right there? Okay, hit me with it. Hit us with it.
I'm a speak into the testing 1 2 1 2. Let's speak into the mic. So on the final things, we spoke a lot about fear today, and I want to give 2 perspectives on fear. The one that I resonated most with for a very long time was false evidence appearing real. But as we talk about personal development and the power of the tongue and our words and sound and language, another interpretation that I heard recently that I'm resonating with more is facing everything rise. So again, when you book a soul chat, we are literally negotiating sincere exchanges by utilizing your knowing and allowing. Simple as that. allow.
Uh-oh, were you waiting for me?
No, you good.
Okay.
Sometimes you just gotta leave. You gotta just leave a little space, right? Create that
little
space.
breathing room. Yeah, I was
Just
like, bathroom break.
No, yeah. Yeah, I literally just finished up as soon as you came in. It was maybe 5 seconds. You know we all about that 5 around here.
That little break. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. These vibes don't lie, PharaohLuv and my boy PP. Yeah. Yo, honestly, would you mind hitting me with the? I heard the false evidence appearing real, but
Okay.
would you mind hitting me with that a little bit? Because I did miss it. I heard that, and then I heard that you might have shifted your mind on it.
Yeah, we'll go back. As we are utilizing this this Mercury energy, and Mercury has 2 rulers, the masculine and the feminine, Gemini, as well as when we talk about Virgo, right? So I want to speak to those 2 really quickly, and I'm gonna jump back and give you that second one. So Virgo is, as I'm learning, it's typically known like as the virgin, that innocence, right? And then Gemini is that quote unquote tug of war between that masculine and feminine. And this really speaks to me because these are things that I've experienced, I am experiencing, and I'm working through in my life. And so when it comes to that masculine and feminine, that's where that different perspective with Mercury, as far as fear, we talked about fear a lot, and that's where that came in. So the one I resonated with most for a long time was false evidence appearing real. And what I'm moving into and adapting into my life is facing everything and rise, right? So that's sharing your truth, as I mentioned before. Is not necessarily to shame and all this other stuff with any other parties that may be involved. But if you keep those things within you, you are the one impacted. I'll say again, you didn't ask for it. You didn't ask for it. It's not your fault by any means. But we did choose these experiences that we experience in life in order to expand and grow and create space for change. We are that change. Be the change you want to see. So if we want for things to stop being done in the dark, we out of the age of Pisces. My time on the forefront is relinquished to the age of Aquarius. Information. But it's not just about the information. You got to know how to utilize that information and then put it to use. Take action. You got to speak. You got to speak. And so it's the face everything and rise. When you book a SoulChat, that's what we're going to be doing. We're facing everything so we can rise. We're negotiating sincere exchanges by utilizing your knowing, utilizing my knowing, utilizing our knowing, and allowing so that we can create that space for change.
Super dope. Super dope. So definitely check her out. Y'all see it there. You heard it here first. I feel like on a radio broadcast, you heard it here first. Don't you forget it. But full circle, Pharaoh, we'll check in. I want to say thank you tremendously. I did see you were in the event for the Angel Reiki on Saturday, so that's dope as well. And hopefully I can see y'all there too. It's free to pull up, but the community is a vibe. So really, that's where I get the most joy because y'all get to talk to others on the back end. You get to talk to people that otherwise you would only hear my voice or hear PharaohLuv's voice. But I'd rather have you talk to the strangers who live in, earlier I saw at least 4 different countries in here from people that I know, including the US on like 5 maybe. So I think that's always super dope. And I will see you soon.
All right. Thank you as well for hosting.